evening and welcome to another edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're kicking off a brand new week here on the mighty SOR. What better way to kick it off by talking Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and all the good crap that goes along with it. Yeah, we're going into the jungles, man. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games, and that's what we are doing tonight. Before we bring in our guest tonight, Alan Thomas, we are going to say hello to everyone in our chat room tonight. I hope you all had a fantastic Labor Day weekend. Race fan in the gold medal position. Gorgeous Cosmic Floor with the silver medal. Drew Morris bringing home the bronze. SJ, how you doing? Chad Smith. The Chad Smith is here, everyone. Ufologist, how you doing? How was your weekend? Please let us know. I'd appreciate that. James Horn, good to see you here. Smithy Conspiracy, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. Really appreciate your dedicated support of SOR. Thank you so much. Jeffrey DeRuin, Eddie Haskell, Oumuamua, nice to have you here. Hi, Luscious Jules. Good to see you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Grand Paul Holland in Australia, we love you, man. Can't wait to jam with you. Ed Clater's here, everyone. The Ed Clater. There's our man, Black Dragon. He'll drop an elbow on anyone. Anyone. Yep. Just put up the scaffolding, and he'll throw himself down. Nail that elbow right in your solar plexus. The awesome and talented Cat Chaser is here. And there's Nate Foot, everybody. There is Nate Foot right there. He is the father of the Hallmark King, Corrence, the Hallmark lover. Yeah. Terry Brown, good to see you. Lynn Effin Wallington, there she is, everyone. The pride of the weekends, Lynn Wallington, there she is. Steve Edmond, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. The gorgeous and talented Carrie Ann has returned. The stunning Jessica McCreary. Nicola, Eddie, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. Spooky Morales, welcome back. Double Tim, good to see you. Open-minded Clarity, Mama Susan, Ozzy, oi, oi to you. Todd Purdon, Millennium. Always appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, JR, thank you for coming on in. Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon. Mennonite Abe is here. The gorgeous Michelle C. from Australia, $5,900. Aaron, how you doing, buddy? There's Fidgety Aura. Give us a wave, Fidgety. We'd appreciate that. And moving on, there's Vinman and Worsley. Noble Patrick is here, everyone. Noble Patrick. He'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. Line up to the left of the studio. There's Steve Stockton from KPNL. Sensational Sherry is here. She'll be signing autographs as well after the show. Line up to the right of the studio. So you have Patrick on the left, you got Sherry on the right, and you're stuck in the middle with you right here. All right. Moving on, Murray F. Judy Wheeler looking lovely tonight. Mike Gertz, how you doing, man? Thank you for coming on in. Peppa H, welcome back. Video game player, the gorgeous and talented Jenny, Greg Moyes, X10 Edge. Welcome to our channel for the first time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you don't mind. Dave Effin Hurley, there he is. Uncle Dale and his power stash. If you are in Austin, Texas, and you run into Uncle Dale, rub his power stash for September only. 3 weeks of good luck. And there's Jim Christie, everyone. The Jim Christie is here. John Doe, how you doing? Gary the Dutchman Vermeer from Mighty Moose Beard Oil. Happy birthday to you, Gary. You're 55 years old, buddy, and big happy birthday. You're still Dutch, and I still don't like you because of that, but we still love you in the same breath as well. Gorgeous Marie, rooted in gorgeous sacredness. Joshua S., good to see you guys. Thanks for coming on in. Science Melinda, looking lovely in Australia. Philip Minervino, welcome to the channel. Thank you. Stu Gerson, right there. You know what that means. And Ross Lambda, thanks for coming on in. Scrolling on down, Dave Hurley, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Same as you, Noble Patrick. We got about 25 seconds. Beelzebrad, thank you for joining us, man. Really appreciate you coming on in. Sugar Britches, welcome to the show. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Get your horns up. We're 20 minutes or 20 seconds away. And don't forget that the super chat is open. It's a great way to support the show and what we do on a nightly basis. Also, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, because it's a good way to know that we are here 7 days a week for you. Kurt Seltzer with a spout lash of lime. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. In 1987, Alan Thomas watched a Bigfoot for over an hour while he was out deer hunting in the forests. There started his life of no more hunting, but a life trying to see and learn about this mysterious cryptid creature. Thomas has been all around the block on the internet looking to broadcast and learn more about this cryptid creature. Yep, live shows called Paranormal Central. He's been on Monsters and Mysteries in America, as well as Finding Bigfoot. Thomas also has his own YouTube channel, and I'm grinding my teeth when I say this, Squatch Zone, but he's promised me he's not saying the word Squatch tonight because Nate Foot, our good friend Nate Rudd, forewarned him before the show, said, don't you do it. Don't do it. Do not do it. And Alan was like, all right, I won't do it. Damn it, I won't do it. Yeah, we're talking Sasquatch and other paranormal topics as well. So let's get right to it. Let's get Alan in here and say hello, my friend, to a great episode we're going to have tonight on Sasquatch, the big hairy creature, man. Thank you so much for joining us on Spaced Out Radio. How are you?
I am good, and it's a pleasure to be here, man. I've been waiting all day watching the little ticker countdown, Couldn't wait,
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love that, because anytime you get to talk about these subjects that we talk about on a nightly basis, it just adds so much fun to what we do. I mean, it's about who we are. But, I mean, man, did you ever think that when you were a young kid growing up, that you would be a monster hunter?
Absolutely not. I thought I was going to be a fighter pilot.
So did I.
Really? Right on, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it didn't work out for me either, and that's why I'm talking Sasquatch now.
Yeah, me either. I wound up married with 6 kids.
Well, the big thing that you do now is you are a monster hunter. How do you like that title?
I don't mind. I met a what do you call a boondoggle of people, UFOs, ghosts, all this stuff. I do it all, so. I love the people. It's so fun.
I really enjoy it too, my friend. I mean, it is something that really opens up my eyes. I mean, when you can hear some firsthand accounts of some great stories out there that people have experienced, and when you can actually see and feel the emotion in what they have gone through, I mean, it really can change a person, can it?
Yeah, and what's funny is a lot of people say, oh, they're faking it or they're lying or something. But when you're standing in front of them and they're telling it and you watch the goosebumps pop up, you see the eyes start watering, they're not telling a lie. They're telling the truth. And then I've seen quite a few things. So I start getting the goosebumps just watching them get the goosebumps,
What part of this has kept you interested? I mean, you've been doing this a long time now, almost over 30 years. I mean, has the chase ever bored you? Have you ever wanted to walk out, or what keeps you going?
The fact that they find me, and almost every time I go out. So I have more interactions or encounters than I do, bum days where you're just sitting there going, wow, I wonder where they are. They come find me.
What do you mean by that? Go into detail for me. Tell me a story.
I go out and I do the Finding Bigfoot thing, and I know it sounds silly, and I think they look silly, but I go out there and I bat a couple of trees and I hoot and holler a bit, and I get their attention, and then before you know it, they're batting the trees, or they're yelling at me, or screaming, or hollering, and throwing rocks at our tent. I mean, it gets ridiculous sometimes. Sometimes scary. In fact, I'm scared all the time after the first sighting. But I force myself to go every single time, to go out there.
You mentioned that you still get scared after all this time?
Yeah.
What's that fear?
The fear. Well, I saw a 12-footer, and I watched him for over an hour, and I watched him run about 200 yards in about 6 seconds or less. And his tracks were 15 feet apart when I finally was able to track him. And it scared me. I mean, I grew up in Yosemite and in the mountains, so I was already familiar with all the animals. And there was times, like when I was a kid and even as an adult, that I got scared for no reason and ran. Sometimes I would run 100 yards with a 30-06, right? And I would run and get out of breath. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, what am I doing? I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. And then there was times where I would be fishing the creeks and boulders would be thrown at me and land in the creek. And I knew there was nobody around, But when I finally saw it, all those incidences, they all made sense. And I actually quit going camping and everything for 6 years. It scared me that bad, freaked me out that bad. But then I had to prove to myself, like, did I really see it? I got to go find it.
12 feet. I mean, that's amazing. 12 feet. I mean, man, that's $1 billion contract in the NBA.
Yeah.
$1 billion contract. But I mean, I want you to take me right through this story about this 12-footer, man, because I don't know if I saw a 12-footer if I would ever go back in the forest. I've seen 2 of them, and I've been chased out of the forest by 2 of them at a different time and in a way different area here in British Columbia. But to see one that's 12 feet tall, that's a whole different ballgame, man. Whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it was. Well, I didn't know. What happened is on this particular hunt, I've been hunting all my life, and I was hunting with my dad's best friend. He taught me to track. I mean, at 5 years old, he would make the tracks on the ground, and he would ask me what is that? A deer, a bobcat, a dog, a coyote, all these different things. And then, how long ago was it that it walked by? So I was with him, and we were there we were going to stay 2 weeks. We were there on the 9th day, and he tells me, we're going to get up really early in the morning. We're going to drive to a trailhead at the end of the road. It's wilderness. The deer are too high up, so we're going to go to them. And but we're going to go like hiking in before it's light enough to see. But light enough, I mean, without using a flashlight, right? So we got there where it was too dark to see. So we were waiting for the moment when you could see the ground a little bit where you could walk. And I seen this bush shaking, and I could see the profile of it. And that year I had drawn for a bear tag. And so I brought a Weatherby 300 Magnum with my own loads. I loaded my own loads for it. And I seen it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get a bear. I was like getting all excited. And he tells me, don't shoot until you know what it is. I looked at him like, man, that was my 7-year-old thing that you taught me at 7 years old. I know better, like I'm not a little kid, dude, anymore. And he starts laughing at me, and we're joking around. And all of a sudden that bear stood up, and it was a man. And we could see the outline of it. Looked like a big puffy coat. But it went like from the chest was like that, and then to a narrow waist with long legs, no light, no gun, no hat, no orange, just black. It was like, who is that dude? We've been parking here for 9 days, we didn't see anybody the whole 9 days. Like, how'd that dude get in the wilderness past us? Where's his car or truck or whatever? And this is why it was over an hour of watching. It could have been 2 hours. I don't know exactly. I just know it was more than an hour. And he started walking down the hill. He would take like 5 steps and then stop for this ungodly. Like, I don't think anybody could stand there. It's like when if you're a deer hunter and you're stalking something, you walk 3 steps and you stop and you don't move because you don't want to alert the animal that you're stalking, and you just freeze. And he would stand there like 5, 10, 15 minutes, take 3 or 4 steps and do it again. But he was coming straight for us. And now, mind you, it's getting brighter and brighter, right? So when he's about halfway to us, it is now, we could get out of the truck and start walking, because I can see the bushes that he's walking through, and all the bushes go to about his belly button. And then sometimes he's not behind any bush. I can see the whole body, but I still think it's a man at even halfway. And the guy I was with, he says, well, we're not gonna get out and walk up the hill. If he came from where we were, there's no sense in us going over there, because he already alerted the deer to humans. And so, we're going to change the plan and do something for the evening. I'm like, okay. So we're watching the guy, and I'm telling him, that guy's probably from LA. It's probably his first year. I'm going to chew him out when he gets over here. You know that? Like, no gun. What is he doing? What all black. But then he gets close enough where I could tell now it's not a man. And I'm starting to freak out. Like, wait a minute. That's not a man. It's like something, but it looks like a man, but it's not a man. And I realized that's not a puffy coat. That is him. He is freaking big. And then he gets closer, and I'm trying to look at him, and I'm telling him, hey, where's the binoculars? And we have a cab over camper. He says they're in the cab over camper. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to look at it through the scope. So I start trying to get the rifle maneuvered where I can look through the scope. And it was too long. The rifle was too long for this old Ford. And pretty soon he's like 50 yards away, really close, where I could see him everything, but I couldn't see any details in his face. But he was so big, I could see the ripped muscles in his stomach, and these huge, massive arms. It looked like he had basketballs right here on his shoulder, the balls of the shoulder. I mean, huge. But I don't know how tall yet. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at him, and I grab the door handle. It goes clunk. And he looks over at me, and I look at him, and I jump out, and I throw the rifle between the door and the windshield. And I start to drop my eye in the scope, and he takes off running just like we do. And he's pumping his arms, and I mean, he's running. And it's so fast, I can't look in the scope. So I just track him. He runs behind this giant ponderosa pine, and he doesn't come out. I kind of go by it, like, whoa. And he didn't come out, and he didn't come out. And my buddy's yelling, don't shoot him. Don't shoot him. It's a human. It's a human. I'm like, what? I'm not going to shoot him, because as I was following him, I was thinking, man, I don't know if I could kill him, like he's going so fast. I don't even know if I could hit him. I'm not going to shoot at him unless I'm sure I could kill him, And where did he go, and my legs were going rubbery, and I felt like I couldn't move towards where he was. But if I turned around, it felt like I could, fly if I wanted to, like the other way. And it took me, I don't know, 20 minutes to get calmed down and able to kind of walk that way. And I decided I'm not going to walk to the tree. I'm just going to walk over to where he was standing when I opened the door. And I got over there, and there's these massive, huge, big tracks, like 20 something inches long. And, like almost 10 inches wide at the toes, 8-10 inches, huge, nothing I ever seen in my life. And I started looking for the next track in the direction that he ran. And I'm looking, 6 feet, 5 feet, and there was nothing. I kept looking, but it was like 15 feet. I was like, what the heck? I looked at my buddy, like, what in the world,
That ain't human. That ain't human at that point.
I started tracking him over to the tree, and I would look back occasionally thinking I missed a track along the way, but all the tracks were 15 feet or more.
How long was that track path?
Probably about 150, 200 yards.
Wow.
And I mean, it happened like that fast. I mean, he disappeared, like everything was like that. You know what I mean? I never seen anything run that fast ever. And I have since seen them, and they run that fast. I don't know how they do it. And also they run like, they look like they're gliding when they run. They don't bounce or anything. It's like, like Naruto or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And the dude just glides across the thing. But I get behind the tree, and it looks like when I get there, he turned in midair and he landed at before the tree and slid in behind the tree perfectly, pushed all the pine needles and all the duff up, slid about 3.5 feet. And then I see the tracks going up the hill he just came down. And when he hits the hill, he's actually grabbing the dirt and everything with his toes, and he's throwing it back like 5 feet. And I'm like, man, wow. And I get to these bushes, we call it buckbrush, and it's thick. And I'm like, I am not going in there, as fast as he is. And what I saw, I'm not going in there, And I got my rifle, I got the safety off. I'm like ready. I mean, anything, a drop of a pin, I would have killed somebody. You know what I mean? Anybody. It would be bad for somebody to step out and scare me at that point. So I turned back to look at my buddy again, and all I could see is the tree. I can't even see the truck. And then it dawned on me like, oh my God, he knew that he could put the tree between me and him. It was like, I've hunted bear, deer, squirrels, everything. And nothing knows that. They'll run behind the tree, they'll peek out at you, and then they will continue running, right? They do not use the tree as cover to get away. So then I'm standing there looking at the bush again, and then I'm looking up. I'm like, oh my God, the bush is 3 feet above my head. The top of the bush that only went to his belly button all the way down the hill. I started looking around, like all the bushes are that tall. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I'm like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in there, I don't know. But this thing's like, I'm belly button level to him. That means he's skying over me, like over 10 feet. And I turned around and I started like circling, and I circled all the way back to the truck. And I told my buddy, like, I tried to stay another night. I didn't sleep a wink. And then the next, he told me one more night, and I didn't sleep a wink. I told him, I'm going home. That's it. I'm done. That ruined me, man. That ruined me. I went home. I didn't go back again for 6 years.
No kidding. I don't blame you. Here where I am in British Columbia, we're used to hearing about, the 7-footers to 9-footers, the odd 10. And then I've heard stories, the more north you go, we get into that 11 to 15 foot Sasquatch, because everything just seems bigger way up in the north. You look at the size of the moose, the Kodiak bears, and everything just gets larger up there for survival. The wolves are even, you put them on their hind legs, they're 7 to 10 feet tall. It just gets bigger. So to hear one that's 12 feet down in, I believe, and I'm going to assume this happened in California.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually surprises me a little bit.
It was right outside Yosemite National Park too.
Really?
Yeah. And and I've interviewed some Inuit that, they find you on the internet, and they want to tell their story, and there's no trees where they are, right? They're way up there, and they're telling me 25 footer, and I didn't believe them. I'm like, no, come on, I go, show me a track or something, And a couple of years later, I stayed in contact with them. A couple of years later, they sent me a picture of this huge track. It was probably like 3 feet wide at the toes. It was like, what the heck? I mean, it was a monster track. I never seen anything like it. 5 toes and everything. And it was like, whoa, I believe you. I mean, it'd have to be 25 feet to make a track like that. Wow.
It always reminds me of stories. I mean, up in the Northwest Territories up here, we have the Nahanni Valley headhunters that back in the 20s and 30s, prospectors would go into this area, the Nahanni Valley, to try and get goods to the local First Nations in the area. And something was literally ripping their heads off. Their heads were not cut. Their heads were being ripped off the body. And that takes a lot of strength in order to snap through the spine like that. I mean, it just makes me wonder about, the aggression of some of these creatures. I mean, obviously this guy, this 12-footer, wanted nothing to do with you, almost like a young black bear that sees people for the first time. But it just amazes me that, the attitude of this one was to absolutely skedaddle right out of there as fast as possible rather than let you have any part of it.
Yeah, he might have, now after many years of going out there and interacting with them, I start realizing they can read your mind or they know your intention. And I have a feeling he knew I had a cannon, a 300 Magnum, and could take him down because I was going to headshot him. I wasn't, I've shot deer or bear and then, shot him in the lung or something like that. And they'll run, 100 yards before they drop down. And that's what my thought was. If I shot this thing, even though mortally maybe, he's only like, 60 or 80 feet from me as he ran by. All he had to do is just divert a little bit and he could run and pull my head off. That was my thought, exact thought, that would be it. And so I didn't shoot him, or even tried, not at all.
No, and I don't blame you, as we only got about 19 seconds here before we have to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Our guest tonight, Alan Thomas. He's a Sasquatch researcher, investigator, experiencer out of the beautiful state of California, living in the northern part. And we're going to get into more Sasquatch, his adventures, his stories. What makes him a magnet for Sasquatch encounters? What makes him so special where the rest of us are fighting to get a footprint and he's having good interaction with these things? I don't know how he does it. I want to find out because I want to do that in my forest here in British Columbia. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio and Alan Thomas right after this. That's good stuff, man. 12 feet.
Yeah.
That's a 600-700 pounder, man.
I was thinking 1,200 pounds when I was looking at it.
Could be.
I just took a report not far from my house, 30 minutes. And I live in the valley floor, right? And this is barely in the foothills, a tribal member called me from the Monos and it took their cow. They were all watching it. And it knocked their cow out, ran up, and hit it like a backhand like this.
Mm-hmm.
Pow! And knocked it out, and then grabbed it by the front hoof and opposite back hoof, and grabbed it like that, and then walked away up the hill, dragging it up the hill. And even was looking at him in the eye when he grabbed it and started walking away. He's looking in the eye at these guys, and they're like, oh my God, he just took our cow. And he said the cat, it was bigger than the cow. It was another, they were saying 15 feet tall.
Man, that's a monster.
Yeah, big. And I heard only the big ones are way up north too. But I got a report on the other river it was 14 feet tall. And the only way they knew was because it was trying to hide behind a 14-foot pine tree they had in their yard. And it was standing there like this, looking at them. And when they shined the light over, there was 5 of them. And they seen the others, but then when they shine the light, somebody goes, "Hey, that tree's behind the tree." And he shined his light over there, and as soon as the light hit him in the face, he let go of the tree, and it went, "Nyur, nyur," and he backed up and took off. And it was like, wow, 14 feet in the valley. Now I'm starting to trip.
That just makes me want to get out there, man. I was going to go out in the forest this weekend. I didn't get a chance to.
Don't go alone, though, man. Don't go alone.
Oh, no, you can't. Hey, Super Quest. Hey, Low Pro. How you doing?
Low Pro. I love that name.
My favorite listener name when he's on here is Dry Toast. Best name in YouTube right there, Dry Toast. Sonny Conway. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
That is cool. Yeah, my chat stopped running, so I don't know. The YouTube chat. It's like frozen.
Hold on.
Kira, right now. Go ahead.
Kira has a question. What does the gray box on @SwampDweller name mean? Which gray box on Swamp Dweller? I don't see it. What gray box? Oh, yeah, he's a verified channel. He's got like 234,000 subscribers.
Ooh.
He kicks ass and takes names.
He stomps all over mine.
Oh, God, yours and mine combined. I go to bed every night listening to Swamp Dweller. Every night. He's got this creepypasta channel that and his voice, the way he tells stories is just second to none, man. Like you'll be impressed. Like go hit subscribe on it. And like I said, every night when I go to bed, I got my headphones in and I got old Swamp Dweller putting Davey to sleep, with some spooky crap that he's come up with. And it's incredible. Incredible the stories he gets, from skinwalkers to Windows to Dogman to Bigfoot, paranormal, weird creatures that you've never heard of. Scares the shit out of me every night.
I've seen some pretty weird things, man. Pretty weird. I'll have to tell you about one that flew over me and my friend, and I never seen anything like it. And I'm thinking demon, that's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Well, Carrie Ann, yes, our guest is part Cherokee. Cherokee, right?
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget, next Monday, we're going to have the launch of our brand new website at spacedoutradio.com. And all of our brand new swag will be on there. It's not just T-shirts. It's everything from coffee mugs to water bottles to hoodies to T-shirts, socks. Everything will be on there. And yes, we will have the official I'm Chad Smith T-shirt rocking it out right there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The Chad Smith shirt almost made Lynn Wallington cry earlier today when she was seeing the samples of it. So it is that beautiful. Thank you to Patrick, to Dave Hurley, and to Smithy for the awesome super chats. It's a great way to support what we do here on a nightly basis. Thank you to all the veterans listening into this show. We love you. You always have a home here with us. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Alan Thomas. I mean, we're getting into some serious woo tonight with these amazing encounters that he has had throughout the years in the forests of California. He's a podcaster, got a YouTube channel called Squatch Zone, and yeah, that's killing me, Alan. It's killing me. But I'm going to give it to you because you're a pretty cool dude. I'll give it to you tonight. You got the freebie one time tonight, and that's rare for me. That's rare for me. But we're going to let it go, man. Before we get into more Sasquatch, you said during the break you had this really trippy story of this flying creature that you saw.
Yeah, man. It was about 4 years ago. And we had, for the Paranormal Central, maybe it was 4 years ago or so. And we bought an ambulance for the show, and we were going to turn it into a paranormal ambulance, right? And we have a friend that builds hot rods, and he's been in the Hot Rod magazine, and he was going to do all this work to it. And it needed more than what we could afford, you know. So I was over there talking to him at his shop, and it was about almost sundown. The sun was just setting, you know, and he was looking west and I was looking south. And he says, "Hey man, look at that cigar flying over there." And I look over, you know, and it sure enough looked like a cigar, you know, and like, wow, it doesn't have any wings, and it keeps coming, and we're talking, you know, and it's getting closer. He's like, it looks just like a cigar. You think it's a UFO? I go, well, I don't know, you know. So I went and I got my binoculars, but I didn't look at it yet, you know. I'm still talking with him. We're talking, and I noticed it had wings. I go, hey, it has wings, man. And it was almost over us by then. So I put the binoculars up, and they're out of focus and zoomed in, you know, so I'm having to do adjustments to look at it, and that it's starting to fly right over me. And I'm realizing the wings look just like dragon wings. They're real skinny. They had a straight edge on the front part of the wing, and then the back part of the wing was kind of scallopy like a dragon wing, and they were black leathery looking. And this thing looked like a Bigfoot body. It was all brown fur, probably 8-inch fur on it. And its head didn't have a neck. It kind of just came out of its shoulders and just was like that. And it had these eyes that were about 14 inches, 12 to 14 inches, and they were velvet red. So it's brown. It has velvet red eyes, but you can't tell, you know, no, it's just weird looking, kind of like a moth, you know, they're velvety looking.
Did it answer to Liz? Because that's my former mother-in-law's name.
I didn't say anything. When I finally got it focused, it was just passing me, and I noticed that it never flapped its wings, but it turned the wings, and then it started scooping the air, and it turned like this, and it looked back at me, and my buddy's yelling, "It's looking at you, man. It's looking at you. Not me, you know." And it really was looking at me, and I got the creeps all over me, and then thought, why didn't I grab my video camera? I have it always, you know, and I ran in the van, grabbed the video camera, and then by the time I got back, it was way down range, and my settings on my camera was bad because it was the first blood moon, and I had everything set up for the blood moon the night before. You know, it was like, oh my God, you know, I felt so stupid, really stupid, but I didn't get any video. It seems like par for the course. I hardly get any video, but that thing flew over, and I don't know what it is. I have never heard of anything like it since, and I never heard of anything like it before that. But I have a friend that was with me that verifies it. He named it Mothy because of the eyes being red velvet. So that's what we call it. Mothy flew over us.
I want you to explain that for a second, because the biggest critique and criticism anybody or any experiencer gets in this field is, why didn't you take a picture? Why didn't you have your camera going? Why did you miss out on that opportunity? It's only natural. Your phone has a camera on it. Get us something. And yet here you are having this amazing encounter, and for some reason you're forgetting to pull your camera out. I mean, I don't think people who have never had that experience understand the power of having something like this happen and how blank your mind really goes.
Well, when you're seeing something that's not natural, that's way out of the realm of, being anything that you even could dream of, even cartoons, even, the last thing you think about is a camera. You're just standing there going, what the heck is that? And then you're looking to if you have somebody with you, you're both looking at each other like, no way, are you seeing that? Yeah, I'm seeing that. And then by the time you think of a camera, it's too late. It's pretty much too late. And then now, say, like I told you, the Bigfoots come to me, or come, when we were out there, they come to us. We go in an area where they know they are, and they come in every single time. And a lot of times we don't even have to call them. But if you pull a camera out, your battery dies instantly. Not only your battery and your camera, but all the cell phones, everything dies. And the Bigfoot does that. So either your batteries are dying, or you're not even thinking of it. Or when you do get the shot on there, like I have one video that I got before my battery died, and it's like 11 seconds of a Bigfoot. And I was zoomed in, and I was trying to hold it steady, and it's all over the place, right? And then I have it on my YouTube channel. The battery died, and all I got was 11 seconds. Everybody's like, how come you didn't get more than 11 seconds? Like I can't, you're not going to believe me. Nobody believes me. Like, you should have just filmed it until it left. Yeah, I would have, come on. I'm smarter than that, dude. I mean, come on. But yeah, I don't know. All I know is you're overwhelmed when you first see it, of anything, especially if it's your first time. You're not thinking camera. It could be right in your hand and you won't think of it.
Oh, I fully agree with you there. I mean, when I saw the alien in the forest with Samantha Mowat, I knew my phone was in my pocket. I had no idea or even thought of taking that photo.
Right.
No idea or thought. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get why we all of a sudden go mind blank like that. I mean, it's almost like, we shouldn't. But is it the shock, or are they sending some sort of woo wave over top of us to say, hey, no pictures allowed there, Sparky?
Well, maybe if you would have pulled your phone out, you would have lost the battery too. Especially with aliens, they're notorious. I mean, my best friend has been abducted by aliens almost his whole life, and I met him interviewing him because of the alien abduction, and so I get it. The aliens they're a trip. You don't even remember, right? You just have lost time, even if you can remember the lost time part. Really.
Everybody's got aliens, just most people don't know it yet.
Yeah, I think so too. I really do.
That's the big thing right there. But for you, as you continue on your search for this elusive Sasquatch here, there's always the great debate on whether or not this creature is of blood and organs and everything along those lines for a bipedal type creature, whether it's a Gigantopithecus, whether it's a North American great ape, or whether it's some other type of animal creature. Or there's the other side where a lot of, especially First Nations, believe that there is something very special and unique about this creature, from shape-shifting to interdimensional travel to being not of this earth. Where do you stand on this great debate?
Well, I started off as flesh and blood, and a long time ago. And then over the years, I've had them speak to me in my mind, and not just while I was in their area. I was at home, and actually had two of them talking to me, and I was denying it at first, but they kept it up. They laughed at me. Even in my mind, they thought I was hilarious because because I kept denying them. And so the more interaction and everything that I've had with them, I'm more leaning towards like a Nephilim. I don't know if you're familiar, but that's what I'm aiming. That's what I'm thinking now. They could be flesh and blood or in this realm, or they could be out of this realm, and they do things that is amazing.
No kidding. No kidding. What is that like to have that telepathic communication with these creatures?
Well, it at first I thought it was real, and I was thinking, man, that is the most real mind. My mind is really like going crazy because that sounds so real. I could tell one is a female and one is a male. And what was weird about it is my aunt told me, I was sitting with my aunt, and she told me, "Aren't you gonna like get permission from them to go? Like you're gonna go in their house tomorrow? Why don't you ever ask?" And I'm like, "What? No, I'm not going in their house. I'm going in the forest that it belongs to everybody, even them. I'm not going where they sleep and everything. I'm going in the forest." She's like, "Well, you should ask them." So I did. And then, I was having a conversation with them. And then she told me, "You should ask them about, going into their house." And she said, that's the only right thing to do. And then they answered, it was like they could hear her too. Well, what I didn't know, she was hearing them too. So they asked me, could they come in my house? I could go in their house if they could come in my house. I said, no. In my mind, I went, no. And then my aunt immediately goes, "What did you tell them that for?" I was like, what? Like, you heard that? That was the first inkling I had of that she could hear it. And then I was really tripping, like, what? I mean, like, that blew me away. And then I go, enough, like that, enough. I got up, I walked away, and I wouldn't listen anymore. It was like, no. Like, this is beyond, this is too much, too much. And I haven't talked to him since either, and I won't. Like, I thought about it when I'm in the woods, but it scares the what out of me to think, if I think something and then they answer back, I'm gonna need new underwear, like, right away. I can't handle it.
You know what? We have two gifting sites. My buddy Mike and I, we were out at one last year because we haven't been able to get there this year, especially with the forest fires that are just wrapping up in that area. And last year, we always park in the exact same spot. And there's this willow tree, and it has this large branch hanging down that kind of comes against your windshield. And I always make sure I pull the windshield right up to that. Sometimes I honk, sometimes I don't, just to let them know. But I always want to make sure that I'm parking in that exact same spot. And so we go into the forest, go into our gifting site, absolutely see nothing. Nothing has moved, and there's always that sense of disappointment when nothing has moved. We come out, and my buddy's having a cigarette, and I'm kind of walking across the gravel road, the logging road, to see if I could see any tracks whatsoever. I don't care if it's deer, fox, wolf, or anything. I want to see some fresh tracks. Yeah. And all of a sudden we heard the click of a rock hitting a rock right in front of the truck. Now, we didn't see the rock. We don't know where it bounced off to. But all of a sudden I said to my buddy Mike, I'm like, "Did you hear that?" And that was the first time I had a rock thrown at me. And we stayed there for about another half an hour. trying to put it out there. Hey, can you do that again, please? Can you do that again? Because not, from what a lot of people don't have to understand is, it's not about, hey, do that again, throw that rock again, MFer. It's not like that. It's not like that.
I wouldn't even tease him at all, man. Or get mad. I would be respectful.
Oh.
But you know what you do when they start doing the rock thing is you grab 2 rocks and you do 1, 2, 3. And then you wait. Yeah. And they react to that. I don't know why.
What's the reaction when you do that?
Sometimes it's a holler or a scream. And then sometimes it's knocking the rock again. They'll like knock it or they'll throw a rock at you.
Yeah. See, I've heard the scream. And I will tell you, there is nothing scarier than the scream. And for people who have never heard a Sasquatch scream, it is like the combination of a wolf, or pardon me, of a lion roaring combined with a wolf howling and a banshee screaming at the same time.
I have a recording of it on my YouTube. It screamed at us or roared. I thought it was King Kong. I could feel it go through me and vibrate me. And it was a good quarter mile away, but it still vibrated me. And it was like King Kong was coming.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were on our way down in there, we heard a baby crying first. And we were like, hey, there's a baby crying, There's a baby down there. There was nobody down there. It was a locked gate. Nobody was parked at the gate. The gate's been locked for 6 months. There was nobody in there with a baby. We knew that. But we went down too far. And then that thing started roaring at us. And I got it. We got that on recording. I got it on my YouTube channel. You have to listen with headphones, but you'll hear it.
Have you ever had the samurai talk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of times, yeah.
That's incredible when all of a sudden you're in the middle of the forest in an area where there is no other human being, and all of a sudden you start hearing in the middle of the forest. You're like, what the hell is that? What is that? We had it once in 2018, and I would love to hear that again.
Love to hear it talking with me. We'll hear it. We'll hear it. I'll give you a tip. Get a they have these mixer boards that run on a 9-volt battery.
Yeah.
And get a couple of SM58s or something like that. And then go inside your camper or tent and set the mixer up, and then set some microphones out, and then crank it up and put some headphones on and sit in there and listen. And you will hear a lot of stuff that, for a long ways, and you'll hear them coming. If they're coming to where you are, you'll actually hear them coming. They'll be talking, a little while later, you'll start hearing the rocks hit your tent or camper, like little pebbles, pop, pop, pop. And they'll do that for like 3 hours, and then maybe for good measure, they'll slap the side of it or come in and push your tent down or something,
Is it a game for them, or are they doing this to upset you or to get you out of the area? Because a lot of times I tend to think with a lot of the stories we have heard on this show that they are a very curious creature. It's almost like they want to reach out. They want to almost make that contact, but they're not sure. And it seems like a little bit of a game.
Well, I think we've been going to the same place 12 years.
Right.
At this one spot. And right away, the very first time we went, we had to leave a truck. And that's the one that's on Monsters and Mysteries. And two of them looked in the truck. The first one left a nose print that was 4 inches wide. The lips were 9 inches. Okay, and it just touched the nose and the lips, and the snot ran down through the lip. But the back window was security glass, or where you can't see through it.
Yes.
So it was a smaller Bigfoot, and he put his whole face up. And you can see this part of his body, and you can see where the eye is and the mustache and the side of his face. And we got DNA from that. But that was the very first time we went in there. and it's been off the chart ever since.
Oh, I would love to find that.
I think whenever they don't want us in there, that's when King Kong comes out, right? And we leave too, you know, like big old, like we were there two years ago, Memorial Day, and 3 trees got busted over in like a 20-foot circle. And I mean, full size telephone pole size trees busted at the 10-foot level in an hour and a half, all in the same place. And I even saw one of them fall because I started hearing the cracking. I looked over there and then, and it was like, I think we better go. You know, I think they're telling us we better go, you know, and we did. We waited till the next day, but we had them hooting and hollering all night long from all around us. And it was kind of scary. They started off like owls, and then pretty soon it sounded like chimps, and then pretty soon it was full on just screaming. And, you know, it was time to go.
Oh, man. You make me want to turn the show off right now and drive into the forest, man. Honestly, you do. I mean, it is such a rush hearing these types of stories. And you know, it's something, as we only got about 90 seconds left, it really is something, Alan, that anybody can do and anybody can experience if you know what to look for and know how to be safe with it.
Yep. You're exactly right. Yeah, I agree.
You know, I mean, you don't even have to leave the logging roads. Everybody says, "Oh, you got to take these hiking trails and these deer trails and everything." You don't need to, because the forest echoes. The forest speaks on its own. And all you got to do is just turn your lights off on a vehicle, find yourself a safe area where you have a 360-degree view of safety. And you just sit there and listen, and you look for the little triggers. So, for instance, when the crickets and the toads go quiet, that's a good sign.
It is.
That something could be around. It may not be a Sasquatch. It could be a bear or a cougar or a moose or something along those lines. You know, up here, we have, in our areas where we go, the biggest danger is the grizzly bears.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you have grizzly bears down there.
Any bear. And I want to really quick before it's time to go, but
20 seconds.
We have them in the valley. There's a little city called Reedley on the Kings River. We got FLIR video of them. We get reports of them all the time, like the 14-footer that I told you about, running in the orange trees, the grapes, all down in the valley. And for the last 5 years, we've been chasing a family of 5.
Wow.
Down.
I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because I want to hear about this area that makes it such a hotbed, you know, and we are going to get to some audience questions too, because we love it when the audience can participate with their questions from the chat rooms as well. But we are going to get real deep into Sasquatch here in hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. What a great guest tonight. Alan Thomas from Northern California. Been investigating Sasquatch for 30 years, and he's got the stories to go along with it. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio in hour 2 coming up right after this. All right, buddy, we're clear. Hey, Flat Earth, how you doing? And Sail 1, welcome. Let's see here.
Yeah, I heard the black bears are worse than the grizzlies.
No, not at all. Not at all. Dude, the other day, I don't even think my audience knows this yet. So I think it was Saturday. Saturday or Sunday? No, it was Saturday. My son is outside, and he is... we live in a cul-de-sac. Like, my area is really rural, and we live in a cul-de-sac, and you know, 2 of the houses on our cul-de-sac have little guys too, the same age as my boy. and they all sit around. Okay, so when the kids disperse off for dinner, they all seem to congregate because our house is in the middle, and so my son will go out on our patio or our porch to wait for his buddies to come outside. So my son's sitting there playing with his toys, waiting for his buddies to come outside. And all of a sudden, he sees on the road, my house is about 80, 90 feet from the road. He sees this deer go running down the road. So he's like, well, that's kind of weird. And then he looks and there's a black bear chasing it. Right?
No, that is weird.
Yeah. So my son knows, hey, gorgeous Carla, how are you? My son knows very well to come inside. The minute you see a bear, come inside. And at this time of year, we don't lock the doors just in case you got to get in. And this is the first year where we've actually had a bear that is always in our area. And we've been here 6.5 years. I mean, we've seen bears, but hey, Justin, how are you? But I mean, this is where it's getting pretty cool. So my son comes and gets me. Him and I walk outside. I'm like, where did the bear go? He goes at the end of the cul-de-sac. It goes into the trees. He goes in the trees. So we walk in there and don't see anything. Come back out, and I'm just standing there. I'm like, okay, where are you? Where are you? And I finally saw the bear sitting in a tree about 35 feet up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there he is. So I walk in, I take a couple of photos and, get my parents on FaceTime and, oh, there's the bear. Can you see him up in the tree? And the bear's like, do I come down? Do I not come down? I'm like, yeah, not right now, buddy. Not right now. So then I go get my neighbor. He's a forestry officer. And he's like, oh yeah. We walked right into the forest. He's like, oh yeah. He goes, that's a young guy. He's not going to do anything. Good morning, Tony D. The gorgeous and talented Wagon Breath is back. And there's Justin S. And who else has arrived? Hey, Square Hammer, are you on the square? Are you on the level? Are you ready to stand right here, right now before your Davo? Joshua Taylor, what's happening? And let's see, who else? Yeah, but dude, I would go up face to face with a black bear over a grizzly any day. Grizzlies are just pissed right off. They're just pissed right off. They're like a cougar, man. Like they're just pissed off for no reason because they can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Apex predator, except for the Bigfoot.
So that's okay. I don't have Sasquatch in my area. I got to go into the forest.
I bet you do.
No, not my housing area. It's like a wilderness cul-de-sac or living area. Like there's 400, 500 houses in this area.
Right outside of it.
Yeah. But you go outside of it, that's where we start to get real.
Yeah. Well, they're going right in this little town. And I mean, it's like 60,000 people. And there's a river that runs through it. And they're all up and down the river.
Yeah. The bears are everywhere here. Yancey Scott, what's happening? But I'd mess with a black bear over a grizzly bear 10 times out of 10. Wow. Grizzly bears are just nasty. Just nasty. So, let's see here. The gorgeous and talented Avi May has arrived. Thank you. All right, I got to scroll up here because I know there's some questions that were coming in here. We got about 27 seconds here. Oh, no, we got 90 seconds here. There's that one. Let me just find it here because it starts out with G West here.
I got my chat to work finally. I had to turn it off and turn it back on.
Where the hell did G West go? It's like way up there. All right, there it is.
I just can't type to it.
Now I gotta. There we go. All right. That's okay. I got all the questions. Don't you worry about that, man. I got you covered. Want to say a big thank you to Smithy, to Dave Hurley, to Patrick, Swamp Dweller, and G West for the awesome super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on a nightly basis here on Spaced Out Radio. So thank you for all the love and support that you give us on a nightly basis. We really do appreciate it. I noticed we got a bunch of new users in our chat rooms tonight. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. We are a live radio show, which we do take breaks at the top and bottom of the hour, which is what we're doing right now. So please, we're not a podcast, so that's why we are on break here. But we're going to come back in 10 seconds. Thank you to all the veterans who are listening to this show. We love you, and you always have a safe home here with us. And all the regulars, thank you so much. Here we go, hour 2.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ombrophobia. Ombrophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight talking Sasquatch all night long. Researcher, podcaster, and generally a great-haired guy. He's got fantastic hair. Alan Thomas is with us tonight, and he has had some amazing encounters throughout his 30 years of looking for Sasquatch. Alan, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we're going to start right off here with a question from G. West in our chat room. Since you see the Bigfoot at the same spot every time, and the cameras always lose power, have you ever thought of putting secret cameras in place trying to catch it on camera?
But of course, we have. We have went through, I don't know how many game cameras. We lost cameras. Cameras have been crushed. We never get anything on a game camera. Well, I take that back. We have got some things on game camera, Bigfoot, but only like it was so, we know what it is, but it's so subjective that we don't share it. There was a couple of them we did, but normally we don't, because you see the hand come up and then the camera gets destroyed, you know, or you get like a part of a face in the shoulder and then you see the arm and then that's it. One of the more notable ones was we realized right away that if we just had one camera, we first were putting them like everyone else 3-4 feet up, and we were losing them left and right, and not always right away. So we would be collecting bears and deer and all the little animals and people walking by. You know, think in the middle of nowhere, you're like, where did that guy come from? What is he, a pot grower, you know? So we never shared those either, just in case. But then we started, my buddy who's climbs poles. He's a pole climber for a company. And he had to buy his own gear to climb the poles. They wouldn't let him borrow the stuff they had. So he bought some, and then we started climbing. He'd climb up 20 feet, and we were putting the cameras, and that wasn't working. So finally, we were putting them up 20 feet, and then we were putting camera traps, 3 or 4 cameras, where they all could see the other cameras. And then piling apples, because they like apples. They'll get the apples. So we did that, and we had piled these apples up, and they had the little stickers on the apples. And when we retrieved the SD cards, The apples were gone, but there was a little pile of stickers on the ground right where the apples were. And man, we really couldn't wait to get the SD cards. And we got them home and we were looking at them, and there was three game cameras at that time, all aiming at the apples and also able to see the other cameras. And they all malfunctioned at the same time. They were taking shots of just dark black. And they took about 9 black pictures. And right before they malfunctioned, there's a pile of apples. And then for some reason, they started working again, right? And that was the weirdest thing. We thought that was it, that we were just going to get bad pictures. But they started working again after 9 or 10 black pictures, and there was no apples. So we went back to that area. We went back to that area, and we had done the same thing. We put the apples and everything. This time, the apples were gone. The cameras malfunctioned again. And when we got home and we brought the SD card with us, when we had put the apples there and changed the batteries in the SD card, the very first pictures was us, in front of the camera setting them off, right? Well, 40 feet away was a pine tree, and a Bigfoot followed us, and he was peeking behind the tree. And then when he realized that my buddy came down the tree and was taking his gear off, that we were going to leave, he used the tree, of course, like cover, but it wasn't a big tree. It was smaller, so you could see through the branches, and he headed out. So we're like, oh man, we got to go back up there, because where he was standing at the tree, we'll just use the same game camera and get somebody to start setting it off, and then and I'll go stand by the tree, right? And we'll figure out how big this thing is, Well, I was about waist level to this thing, that was, because we were thinking maybe a ranger followed us, but we didn't see anyone. We walked a quarter mile into the woods. If any human was following us, we would have heard their car coming or something, because we sat there for 2 hours before we even went in the woods. We wanted to make sure we're all by ourselves. But only what sealed the deal was when I walked up and had that camera where it was take pictures of me standing there. I was a midget to it. And it was like, oh man, Then the next time we went over there, and what was really cool about this place where we set the apples, there was these large logs, and they were laying down, and they were huge, like 3 feet tall. Okay. Big, long logs, and they were cut logs. But there's a thick stand of little pines, and they had put them inside there in a like a half circle, and then there was one laying almost in the middle of that half circle, and it was all blocked in by these little trees with only one way in. And we'd put the apples and everything right as the entrance of this little area, and we were finding legs of deer legs, front deer legs, laying on the ground around this area. So we thought that might be like an ambush thing where one's laying behind the log, and then they chase them into there, and then that one, they don't have anywhere to go, the deer, and they'll chase one in there, or 2 or 3, who knows. And then the one behind the log laying down will jump up, and rip their leg off. And they could do that, and it keeps the meat fresh. Because if they kill them, then the meat starts getting tainted right away. So they strip the leg off, and the deer could lay there for, until it bleeds out and dies. So that'll be a while. They could probably collect 2 or 3 deer. Well, then all of a sudden, one day we went in there, and we were being followed. Like we heard the ranger truck, and we saw the ranger truck. And it parked 100 yards down, and we decided we're just going to get the cameras and leave. So we just got everything and we left, but we left gifting like some bananas and apples and stuff like that. And about, I don't know, 2 months later, we were on our way to a different area. We didn't use that area ever again because they started using this low frequency thing, and they got his wife sick, and she was sick for 3 days the last time we went. So we decided that these guys are nice. My buddy that climbs the trees,
right.
They were whistling like her son. Her son would whistle at him, and sometimes they'll whistle back. So when we were there, we brought his wife and son this time, and the son was whistling and everything. And then he went with us. She stayed at the truck, and they were whistling a different direction from where we went. And she almost went over there. She's like, no, I know that's not my son. He went that way, not that way. So she didn't. And then when we came back, she was barfing and sick. She was sick for 3 days. And then another weird thing, when she got home the next day, where she sits in the house, like hundreds of flies were in the house buzzing around her in this little corner where she reads and watches TV and stuff. And that was the first time and last time that ever happened too. And so we associated it with the Bigfoot, and we decided we're not going there. Plus the rangers followed us. When we stopped over there the last time just to look around, and see maybe we might use this spot again, maybe. They had cut all the trees down. They cut all the big logs up. And my buddy was saying, hey, man, they were cutting firewood. They told him, well, if they did, they left all the firewood, right? They cut it all up, but they left all the wood. Like, who does that? Like, at least some of it would have been gone, but they cut it all up, but they just left it. So they destroyed the whole little area where they were hunting. I think it was a dangerous place, I think. Yeah. And we even felt like that when we were there. You get this vibe, like, you shouldn't be here. You need to turn around, like every time we went there, it was like that. So we decided we'd leave.
Another question from Joe on Facebook. And you kind of mentioned it for a quick second last half hour about Bigfoot mimicking other animals like owls or even a human. Have you run across this? All the time.
They can sound like I've had my name called at me. They can sound like anything. The only thing is it's just a little bit off. You know what I mean? Like there was one night, we were being surrounded by owls, and they were circling us, right? Owls don't do that, first of all. They don't circle you for 2 hours. And then we never heard this owl before. And we recorded it, and then I went, and I know a guy that's a fish and game guy, and I asked him if he would meet me at a Denny's, and we sat down, and I let him hear this owl, and he says, that's the barred owl. I go, really? A barred owl? I never heard of it before. He says, well, they're 700 miles or more. They're like Oregon from you, right? They're way up north. They're not in this area. Like, really, So then I played the recording some more, and it started sounding like chimps. He's like, well, that's chimps. I go, they're not in the woods either. And we sat there and laughed about it. But yeah, so then I started like going, how did these Bigfoot know what a barred owl sounds like unless they heard one? And if they heard one, or one of them taught everyone here, he had to be 700 and something miles away north, and then get all the way down here and either teach these guys, or they all heard it, and they all, it's like, man, I don't know, how that happens, but they can make any sound. Even car sounds and stuff like that. It sound like a car door shut. They can sound like that. You know, you'll be in the middle of nowhere and you hear a car door shut and you know there can't be a car. It's them doing these weird stuff.
I get that. All right, let's go to Evan, who is asking, do these creatures seem benevolent or benign?
I can't tell. You know, I interviewed hundreds of people, believe me, hundreds, and some people tell me don't hurt them, don't shoot them. You know, I have a relationship, an ongoing thing with them, and they're nice, like Dr. Matthew Johnson, for instance, and some of his friends. I know some of those guys that created the portal that supposedly let the Janu into this world, and they saved them. You know, but I don't know. Like, I'm leaning towards Nephilim, and I'll tell you something. You know, ghosts and all that stuff, they lie. Aliens, they lie. I think the Bigfoot lie. So if you're gullible enough to believe anything, you know, then you might think, and then you might go missing too. You know, I don't know. Like, that's where I'm at on it.
All right, moving on. Tall, Dark, and Dirty is asking, Alan, have you ever used those trail cams that capture images using starlight as an alternative to IF, which Sasquatch may be able to detect?
Well, the Sasquatch can see IR light. For sure. We've done experiments with security cameras and then using the spot beam, you know, that shoots 300 feet like a spotlight, but it shoots IR light. And they get just out of reach of it. You can't get them in camera range. As soon as you turn on the IR, they go right outside of the range of the IR. We can't afford those kinds of cameras yet, but we will. I do have a thermal FLIR camera that I use. I haven't got one on it yet, but it's not because I'm not trying, though.
All right. Do you think Sasquatch has the ability to hear or sense these cameras? Maybe smell the metal or the oils inside, grease. What do you think?
I think they can. It's like they smell them, and they also can hear them. They, you know, who knows what, you know, like they may have been invisible and watched you put them there. You know, there's a guy up in your area. His name is Mike, Sasquatch, Ontario, and he talks about him being right in the room, you know, and the marble just appears and falls on the ground. And I've talked to other people that have seen him running and they phase in and out, you know, like that's running and they see it like running a little ways across the meadow, and all of a sudden it pops out of view in the middle of right in the open. And then all of a sudden it pops in again, and then it pops out and pops in and pops out as it runs across this huge meadow. So, I mean, like some things I don't know, you know, I'm not an expert yet at all, not even close. You know, I just have a lot of experiences. That's all I can go on, you know.
Right on. Right on. And let's get to Carrie Ann here, who's in Pennsylvania. Have you ever been bluff charged by this creature?
Oh, yeah. A few times. Scare you to death almost, you know, like give you heart palpitations. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we went in our area, in the same area where I saw the first Bigfoot that I ever saw. And also one of my teachers is in the Missing 411 book, and he gone missing in the same place, right? The same area right there, right? And man, I'm getting goosebumps here. But these guys went camping, and they happened onto where they were going to camp. There's an abandoned camp, tents, air mattresses, lanterns, food, ice chests. The food was going bad. They camped there for 5 days. They didn't bring any lights with them. They just go to bed at night, you know. They have their cell phones, and they were playing on their cell phones on the 5th night. And something started bluff charging them out of the woods. And it would run through the woods, breaking everything and roaring and stuff. And then it sounded like it jumped or landed on 2 feet, and it would stop right there. And then they couldn't hear anything. And then they'd hear it coming again, you know? So the dad, it's a son and dad, and they had quads and tents and everything. He runs and gets his 30-06 out of the truck, and he starts shooting at it. He can't see it, but he's shooting right in the direction of the sound. And finally, they split. It scared them so bad it wouldn't stop. So they got in their cars and they left. And they came back the next day to retrieve their quads and stuff like that. But the other camp was still there. So then we went up a week later on a weekend, the very next weekend, and we set up our microphones and our everything. And then we went out and we went hiking around, and there's sign all over the place, X's. You know, I think I got on my last 2 videos I have, it's called The Mean Sasquatch on my channel. And I show some of the things I found, the little wood things that they do and make and stuff like that. And I mean, it's interesting. You know, that's what I mean by I'll never get, like you were saying, Dave, you know, what keeps you going? Well, that's the kind of stuff, you know, it keeps me going, man.
Mm-hmm. Nate is asking, as we got about 2 minutes left, when will myself and Dave, aka me, come down to your area with you and Jeffrey? Let's get it going for next year, man. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, anytime, man. We go all the time. So when you got the time, let us know when you're going to be here, and we'll make a plan. Like, you know, give us a few weeks and a couple of weeks or something.
Of course, we just got to get over this border stuff with COVID. That's what we need to do. Get that done first. Let's go to Joe here. Have you ever gone Bigfooting in Nevada County?
No, I've been only Oregon, Northern California, all the way down to Porterville. So I've been staying mostly in California, except for Southern Oregon.
Cousin Gary in Edmonton is wondering, you ever wear a GoPro?
Yeah, I did. I never got anything. I can't afford the stuff. You know what I mean? Like the things that make it, you know, where it doesn't bounce around, you know? So like I would just clip it to my backpack. And then as I'm walking, the thing's going, you know, and that if I did catch something, I couldn't tell, you know, but I walk around with a camera all the time on now. Everywhere I go, I'm recording always. Forward anyway.
All right. John is asking, he's 30 minutes from the Santa Cruz Mountains. Any chance of him finding any Sasquatch in the forest there?
I haven't went there, but I have some friends like Mike Rugg, and that has the Felton Museum in San Jose. He has some encounters over there, and then I've met some people over at who do functions over there, raise money for the museum, and I've met people that had encounters there, so they're there, like around in the apple orchards and stuff like that.
That's awesome, man. I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Alan, you are quite the storyteller, and I am enjoying every moment of this interview with you so far on Spaced Out Radio, talking Sasquatch all night long. We're going to continue with Alan's Sasquatch stories. What are they? Where are they? Who are they? Let's find out more with Alan Thomas, YouTuber, researcher. 30 years he's been on the hunt for Sasquatch. We'll be back right after this on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. Let me see here. Hey, Block Chic Martha, could you send me a DM in Twitter? Because I want to chat with you about something this week, if you don't mind. And yeah, it'd be really cool. And let's see. Hey there, Brian Bowden, the man with 1,994 podcasts, all simultaneously running. We appreciate you, brother. Good to see you. Kaiju Ninja, how are you? I just got here. Do you have to be a donator to ask a question? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Everybody gets to ask questions on this show. Those who donate choose to do so out of the bottom of their heart. We don't beg for super chats. We don't ask for them. Everybody just kind of throws them out there in order to help support the show. So, yeah, everything is free here, my friend. Everything is free. Let's go here. Who else has arrived? I'm way behind in the chat room here, so I'm just catching up. All right, there's Knucker's question. We'll get to that one next.
It's going pretty fast. I know that.
Yeah, man. We're having a great time. Great time.
I'm enjoying it. A lot of times I don't get to share like this, so
I know.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just seeing if I'm missing any other people here.
Now, there's some great questions, too, like make me think for a second.
Guys, if I can just ask a quick favor, please, just a quick reminder to put your questions in capital letters. It is much easier for me to find them and to read them to our guests. So I've caught a few questions already. I will get to them, but just a quick reminder: just put them in capital letters. It's much easier for me. Thank you, guys. Matthew Anderson, how you doing? Big J, what's happening?
Ooh, that's a good question you got up right now.
Oh, yeah. Don't answer it yet, though.
Oh, I won't. But that's a good one. My light went out. Oh, well. You guys still see me?
Oh, yeah. Magnus, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. Yeah, you're fine. I didn't even notice your light went out.
It was slowly dying, man. It went like really little, slowly.
Excuse me. The gorgeous and talented Rafaela. How are you? Where are we here? I'm almost caught up. I'm only 3 minutes behind now.
Well, I noticed there's quite a difference between the live over here on my computer screen.
Yeah, it's about 20 seconds to 30 seconds.
Because I was going like this. Now I'm seeing myself go like that.
Yeah. Horror Realm, what's happening? Good to have you back. Who else we got?
Seconds.
Peter F., welcome to the chat room. And I'm caught up now. All right, so now I got to go way back here to find Knucker's question. So we got that one up. And where's the next one coming from? Right there. All right, we got about a minute and a half here. EQA, how are you? Nate Foot. I can't wait to go, man. I'm itching to go right now.
I want to go up there with you guys. Are you kidding me? Like, I think I could find some over there. I really do.
Come on up, man.
Like I'll be Google Earthing the place a little bit, and then we'll go looking around.
Oh, yeah. I got one mountain where I believe there's Dogman here, too.
Oh, boy. We have those here, too. And when my buddy that gets abducted, he actually seen one, and I didn't go with him, right? My leg hurt, and I was like, I'll stay back. All of a sudden, I hear this dude screaming, and he's running. He has a bad knee, and he's running, I'm like, what the heck, dude? Like,
hold on, brother. We're coming back in like 20 seconds here. Big thank you to Smithy, to Dave, Patrick, Swamp Dweller, and G West for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on a nightly basis. Thank you to all the veterans who are tuning on in. We love you. You always have a safe room with us. And here we go, everyone. We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Show's flying on by. It's what happens when you have a great topic like Sasquatch tonight. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's a wild night tonight in the forests of California where Alan Thomas is tracking Sasquatch, looking for Bigfoot, looking for any signs of this wild, hairy creature that roams the forests of North America. Alan also is a YouTuber, podcaster. He's got everything going for him. Fantastic hair as well, and a good goatee combination to go along with that, because you know we like good hair and facial hair around here. Alan, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Love you, Dave.
All right, brother. Let's get to another question from our audience. Nucker down in Oregon is asking, Alan, have you ever seen government interference when it comes to Sasquatch?
Yeah, makes me mad. One of the first ones was when we brought Finding Bigfoot to the area, and we took them to our spot, right? And they had already known about it because Cliff Barackman was friends with one of our guys. And we went over there, and then right after the show aired, they started putting pole fence up and filling it with foam. And then they put gates, and now they lock us out all winter. Before they didn't. And they have destroyed several areas where we would have camera traps. And in down here on the Kings River, there's a place called Avocado Lake. And I was talking about the 5 Bigfoot that we've been tracking around here in this area down on the valley floor. They were having fishermen were saying they were getting rocks, boulders thrown at them, while they're fishing. And the lake is right next to the river. And there's this little road that goes between the lake and the river. And right there, people are fishing, fly fishing and stuff like that. And they get boulders thrown at them. So we went out and investigated. Sure, we reported on our shows. And then the next week, it was around Halloween, they closed the lake. And they didn't open it again until Easter. And we watched as they mowed everything down. They cut all the tree limbs up so you could see all the way across this park and lake. And then they opened it. And I think they killed some Bigfoot in there, because we quit hearing so many things. But there was Dogman over there too, though. That it was Dogman and Bigfoot reports in that area. And as soon as we brought light to that, they came in and closed it down for almost 6 months.
No way. What do you think the government has to do with this creature? I don't understand that part of it. Now, I do know up here, the conservation officers, you call them wildlife officers down there. We call them conservation officers up here. They don't talk about it. And that is more so for job protection than anything.
Well, my dad was a retired sergeant in the sheriff's department, and my uncle, both sergeants, both retired. And I know some of them still to this day. I grew up with all these guys, and some of the older guys I still know. And they had even hit Bigfoot, gone on calls and hit them with the car. And they can't talk about it. And then I was talking to some newer deputies that I didn't know. along this river corridor of these 5, right? And they started putting fences, and they were saying to keep people out, but these big old 12-foot high fences next to the bridges. So they said it so people couldn't fish off the bridge. But there's only on 2 bridges out of a dozen, right? And it's the only bridges where we heard of Bigfoot reports. And I was asking the sheriff about it, and I had to name my uncle's name. He ran for sheriff a couple times, so everybody knows him. As soon as I said that, he's like, "Okay, I'll tell you on the down low. We won't come out here anymore because we keep seeing those big furry guys, but we can't talk about it. And that's what those fences are for." I go, "What are like the things I seen could rip the fence down, or grab it and just kind of go over it and then land in the river. I mean, it would be nothing for it. I mean, if they think they're trying to stop a Bigfoot, that's ridiculous."
All right, let's move on to another question. Kaiju Ninja is asking, have you heard the chatter? And if so, can you describe it? Is it different from what you heard from the Sierra sounds that Ronald Moorhead recorded?
Yeah, it's totally different than Ron's recordings. But I have heard some of like what Ron talks about. But I've even heard, and I think maybe they're baby ones. But it's like, and then all of a sudden, like a Furby, right? A little Furby. I've heard that too.
Yeah, my buddy Merle and he was with us when him and I got the chatter in the middle of the forest. And it didn't clue in for us for about 8 months because we were actually on a paranormal investigation at a crash site up here where back in 1965, 52 people died in a plane crash. Oh. And we were doing a paranormal investigation up there when we actually heard the chatter. So we thought paranormal right off the bat. We weren't thinking the samurai sounds or the Sierra type sounds. And it wasn't until 8 months later when I had replayed the Sierra sounds by Ronald Moorhead that all of a sudden I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And I remember calling up Merle and I'm like, you got to listen to this. And I'm like, dude, this is exactly what we heard. And he's like, yeah, dude, it was incredible. Incredible. That was the time in 2018 when we got chased out of that crash site by 2 of the creatures.
Oh, man. Did you get to see them?
No, we never saw them. And it's funny. My buddy Mark, like that area, you have to go in armed. There's grizzly bears. There's giant 1,500-pound moose. There's a lot of cats in that area. Black bears, like a lot of things that could kill you. And so when we got chased out, there was one approaching Merle, came within about 20 feet of Merle behind the bushes of the shrubs making noise. And we thought it was a bear because remember, we're thinking paranormal. And then at the same time, Mark, who's an outdoor specialist, he's been a hunting guide. He's been a tracker. He's been in the forest for 30 plus years with animals. Watching the guy track animals is phenomenal. And there was one coming at him from a different direction where all Mark says is, I don't know what it was. He goes, but I know it was making noise up high and I know it was on 2 feet, not 4. So
you run.
Yeah, man. Merle. Good old Merle. But for you, I mean, you have this, if I get this right, this healthy respect for the creature. You don't trust it. You don't want to, play buddy with it. But on the flip side, you seem to have this attraction to it that is a little bit odd. I mean, why do you continue to go after this to find out more if A, you already know it exists, and B, you've had so many different encounters with it that you're afraid of what may happen even though it hasn't happened to you?
Well, I'm not afraid to die. I died already once, and I even have a story about that. But I'm not afraid to die is the most part. And then I love to camp. I grew up in the mountains and everything, and the whole camping thing and going in the woods thing changed for me in 1 minute. The minute I noticed that was not a man and it was something, and I decided I'm not going to let it change me in what I like to do. Now, granted, I'm not going to go lay under a tree and go to sleep or all the things I used to do. I can't do it anymore at all. But I'm going to keep going back in the woods because I can, and it's not going to stop me. And if it's going to be there all the time, I'm going to try to document everything that I could get, and maybe someday I'll get that $1 million, great video or something. And I mean, I have a really nice video camera. I traveled around the world with a video camera, and I'm good at video cameras. So I have a nice one right now, and with a 400 zoom on it. So, if he gets in, and I have a drone, and I even started my own YouTube, and I can't say it because, it's not, you're not supposed to say that here. I guess I could say it once. It's Sky Squatching. But when I get to creeks and rivers and stuff like that, I send the drone up and I fly up and down the thing with as high resolution as I can. And then even though you might not see anything, when you're flying it, when you go home and put it in the editor, and you because of the resolution, the 4K, you can go way in and zoom in, and it's clear. So if you're just watching the video and you see something out of place, you can kind of zoom in there. Haven't found anything yet, but it's not stopping me neither.
Before we get to the next question, I want to ask you, if you got that $1 million film, knowing how critical the entire paranormal community is, and the skeptics and the non-believers are very harsh on anybody who gets evidence, would you release the film?
Yeah, I would release it, and then I would just laugh at them when they came at me, like okay, next time you're camping, you better watch your back, because they're out there, and I'm showing you they're out there, and you better be watching your back, buddy.
Now, you have, getting to Nicola's question, you have collected DNA evidence of this creature. What have you done with it?
Well, it's kind of like the $1 million shot. We got the DNA, and our team that we have, he moved away now, but at the time, our team had a 17-year veteran CSI police officer, and he did not believe in Bigfoot until the pictures on the imprints on the window that convinced him there was a Bigfoot, because it looked like gorillas to him, and he knew there was no gorillas in the woods. Then when we ran the DNA, it came back mostly human, but a little bit was, they didn't know. And then the guy that ran the DNA said that we contaminated it, and that kind of offended the police guy, the CSI guy. That's his job, right? He collects evidence, DNA evidence and stuff like that. He's like, what? So we went deeper on the DNA, and we took everybody's DNA, and then we had that taken out. Like, if it was in there, we had our DNA taken out. It came back the same. Only on this test, the female's part of the DNA, or the mother's side of the DNA, turned out to be human, which was, over 90 something percent. And then the male or the dad side of the DNA came back not human. And then they said, it was going to be this god awful amount of money to go deeper into it. And we can't afford it, just like we can't afford the super duper cameras, with all the night stuff and all that stuff. We just can't afford. I think saying like $16,000 just to run one test, one more test. It was like, sorry, you got $6,000 for the first test. Come on now. They don't want to know. That's why they make it. They put it out a year where they know you can't afford it.
I want to get to Joe's question, and this actually is a question I was going to ask you earlier, but have you noticed, Alan, Bigfoot moving, especially during the forest fires? Because literally we have it's still kind of smoldering now, a massive forest fire that literally surrounded my 2 gifting sites up here. And I know there's all the forest fires that are going on in California. Have you noticed a lot of movement of Sasquatch with the forest fires?
Yeah, and the Bigfoot are meaner. Like, I'll put it this way: like every Bigfoot place besides 2 are burned. Every camp area, my favorite ones that I like to go all the time just to camp, burned. 365,000 acres burned. In my lifetime, I'm 60 plus, and I'm not going to see it grow back. It's gone for me. I know it will, because you can't kill nature. It'll come back, But yeah, the Bigfoot are moving into the areas that are still forested, like some of the power companies that really manage their forest right. And there's some really nice forests left. The fire burned all around it and didn't even go in those areas. Now the power company employees are starting to come to me, and say, hey, they want to know what's going on.
Where do they move to?
Into the forested areas, or right down here in the valley, like along the rivers, the creeks and stuff like that. In neighborhoods, like if you have a creek or something like that running by your house, and there's areas, they could be like 5 miles apart even, where there's little wild couple of acres and it's all grassy and trees and overgrown. They'll be hanging out there all day, and then in the night they'll move out, and they'll go running around picking off cats and goats. We got this one guy that lives a couple miles from the river, and we went over he called us, he was losing goats. I don't know if it was the dog man or the Bigfoot, but the goats are ripped in half, and it was like something through the one half this way and one half that way, no blood. And he lost like 30 goats.
Wow.
And in over like 3 or 4 weeks. And we were trying to catch, we used game cams, all kinds of different things to try to catch it. Never could catch this, whatever it was, getting his goats.
Kaiju is asking, what do you think of tree falls or tree pushes?
They are to get rid of you. They're being aggressive, and they want you out. Like the one on the very first time where we got the DNA, they took a log that was, 15 feet long and 14 inches in diameter, something that takes 4 or 5 guys to move out of the road. And it didn't lay it across the road, like if this is the road, it didn't lay it across the road this way. It laid it long way on the top of the road where you couldn't get around it. And it was telling us it didn't want us in there. That was the first time that and then what was really weird is as we were going in, there was little trees that a 12-year-old could drag and throw over the road. There's like 3 of those. We just get out of the truck and throw it out of the way. And then we came across the one that was long ways, and it took 5 of us. And what tripped me out was we pushed it out of the road, but whatever put it there did not roll it or anything like that, because we tore the road up getting it out of there, rolling it, and it was pristine all around it. So whatever put it there placed it there. And then we found where the log was. So it actually had picked it up and carried it over and placed it right uphill. You know, I don't know, you know, they're amazing, these Bigfoot.
All right, let's get to Jim here, who is wondering, do you think Sasquatch is interdimensional?
Yeah, I do. Just because of all the stories and some of the things that we don't get on camera. You know, like the one I was talking about, popping in and out, phasing as it ran. You know, and one of the things they do is when you get eyes on them, and they have their back to you. Okay, this has happened to me a couple times. They have their back to you, and soon as you get eyes on them, they freeze, and they're not looking at you. They didn't look at you. I never took my eyes off them, and that'll be another thing. They'll freeze, and then you think of your camera. You're watching them. You got your eyes on them. You look down, and you're fumbling for your. You look up, and they're gone. It's like, dang it. Even when you are going to go for your camera and you got the shot and everything, you don't get the shot.
Right. You mentioned Dogman a couple of times. Kaiju wants to know, do you think it's real? Do you think it's in the area?
Yeah, it's real. I've probably talked to 100 people now that's seen it. They don't know each other. They live, in a 20-something mile area. They have to be real. Like, where are these people getting this? And they describe the same thing, the same behaviors, same glowing eyes, all that kind of stuff.
Except more vicious, cranky.
So far, all the people I've talked to, nobody's been attacked by him or anything. They even my buddy that ran into one here last year when we were down in the river investigating the Dogman sighting that was there, and he ran into it. He said it was like 7 feet tall and really built, and it pointed at him, and he took off running.
Yep, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Good enough for me. Sasquatch cave system. Jim wants to know, you think they're using cave systems?
I would bet money on it. The Cherokee have stories of people that fasted for 7 days, and the Bigfoot, they don't call it Bigfoot though, but it wanted to marry their daughter. So, and they did trading with some, deer and different things, and they traded, but only the tribal member wanted to go to visit their house, and they go through a creek, walk through a creek, and then they come to a rock, and it has a cave in it, and they're in there. But when they look in there, they can't see him. They can hear him talking, but they can't see him.
Right.
And they usually never see him, right? They talk to him, but they don't ever see the hairy man. There's actually a story that's online. I think it's called Squatch or something like that.
Right.
Look it up, and it's a good story. And
Alan, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We only have 30 minutes left with Alan Thomas talking Sasquatch. Then Stetson John will be here for the Unbiased UFO Report, the Newswire, and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. All right, man, I'm just going to step away for a bathroom break. I'll be right back, okay?
I'm going to do the same thing.
Okay, I'm just going to put you on mute. Be right back, people. Be right back. Oh. All right, dude, we're back here. Come on. Let's add you to the stream. There we go. This has been a great show. Hey, just hold on when we get to the break at the bottom of the hour, and I'll say a proper good night to you, okay?
All right.
So just so everybody knows, I'm about half an hour behind in the chat room right now. Gnome Squatch, Carl Vibe, how you doing?
That's because I talk too much.
Oh, no, that's all right. Don't worry about that. Northern Illinois Sasquatch researchers, how you doing? Mm-hmm. And Matthew Anderson, thanks for coming on in. The gorgeous Gloria from Casual Conversations. Welcome back. Aussie Steve, what's up, buddy? I'm not even going to catch up here. That's all right. Oh, there we are. Come on, where are you? All right. Thank you to all the veterans who are tuned on in. Thank you to Swamp Dweller, G. West, Patrick, Dave, and Smithy for the super chats. Here we go with hour 3.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears, especially if you're listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clan? Ombrophobia. Ombrophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest, Alan Thomas. He is a researcher and a podcaster, YouTuber out of the beautiful state of California. Been chasing Sasquatch for the last 30 years. And he's based out of Fresno, California. And, man, the stories this man has, if you're just tuning in, you're going to have to listen to the replay on our YouTube channel. And we appreciate it. Alan, thank you so much. We got some great audience questions here for you. And we're going to continue with Evan here. Did humans, do you think, kill off most of the Sasquatch?
Not a chance. I think that we would be, what do you call it? I don't know. I can't remember the word for it. But if we think we're all that in a bag of chips that we could go hunt these things down, we're sadly mistaken, because they are the apex predator of the woods. If I was a grizzly bear, I would run from them. So I mean, I've heard stories of them running along and grabbing a bison under their arm and carrying it off like a football. So, I mean, like, no way. I know they can sneak up within feet of me and have, and I didn't even know they were there until the next morning when I saw the tracks where they crawled on their belly to get up right at us, right at our campfire. And, you know.
No, I hear you, man. I got a moth in my studio right now. That drives me nuts. I hate moths. Oh, I think I got it. I may have got it. All right, Andy wants to know. Andy wants to know, what is the most urban area you have found Sasquatch in?
Right in the city. Right inside, like, go on Google Earth and type Reedley, California. And right in the middle of town. Running right behind their city college and everything. I mean, like, running across the roofs of people's houses, going through their garbage cans. Yeah. Like, that's the closest I ever heard of them being in the town.
That's kind of close right there. John is wondering, have you ever considered that they might have the ability for ventriloquism?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not an expert really. I only could go by my experience and what I've talked to people. They have a lot of abilities. It wouldn't surprise me though. Probably it would not surprise me.
Yeah, that just literally trips me out. Evan wants to know, has the Sasquatch ever asked for anything? Do they trade with you?
Yeah, they do. When we don't, like, this is without talking or anything, but they leave things for us when we leave things for them. They leave feathers and if they know like what kind of rocks you like if they see you picking up rocks, I pick up rocks all the time, little rocks. And they see, I don't know how they know, but they know like the ones I like, and they'll leave those. And it won't be out at the gifting spot either. It'll be like you'll sit down in your camp chair and look down and it's right there. And it wasn't there the last time you sat in your camp chair. It was just right there. It's like that.
All right. Tony in the UK is asking, have you ever thought about putting your trail cams in a Faraday cage?
No, we haven't done that, but we haven't thought about that really. We've thought about putting them in logs, and then putting them in logs, like hollowing out a tree stump or something like that, or in a tree, like hollow the tree out, like cut a section out of bark, and then you put it back in with just a hole, and then running a solar panel way up in the tree with a battery and a cell phone repeater and everything up there so that we can watch it at home. But we haven't got to that yet. We're starting to find cameras. It seems like they can sense them or know they're there. It doesn't matter what we do, they can avoid it. So we're almost down to just using microphones, and I even think they even know that. Like, we had some microphones out and we were in a tent, and we left the little door unzipped so we could put the wires for the mic cords out. And I had a solar light that turns on from movement, and it broke, and it was staying on, right? And my buddy was mad at me because the light was still on outside the tent, and it was glowing in the tent, and it was lighting up the microphones and stuff, but we were still hearing the thing walking around outside our tent. So, he gets up and he's looking out and he doesn't see anything, but we could still hear the footsteps. And then it starts grabbing the mic and moving it, like rubbing its hand over it. And I got up and I'm looking out there because, you're going to see it if there, I couldn't see anything. And I could still hear the headset. I could still hear, but I didn't see anything. So we're almost giving up on cameras besides walking around with them, All
right. Jim is asking, do you think Bigfoot could pick up on your vibes? Is that why you see them all the time? Because you carry off a good vibration?
Yeah, I'm almost to the thing of, I think once you see one, I think that you might have better odds of seeing one again, because I go with some guys that haven't seen him yet, and I've seen him several. Like we were at this one spot. It's called the Thule Reservation, where they have the painted rock, and we were camped over there, and it was at a women's gathering, and I got invited in there, so I brought some friends. I wasn't really supposed to, but only I know the tribal cherry's like, okay, so and then I have relatives on the res, so we went, and I got up at night to take a leak, and we put these sensors out, like motion sensors all around the tent. So and they're about 20 feet out from the tent, each east, west, north, south. And so I walked up to that sensor, and I didn't want to cross it and wake everybody up. So I just took a leak right there, and I wasn't really paying attention. It was a full moon. I'm under these 200-year-old oak trees in the shade of the moon, right? Under these oak trees. And I look up, and there's this huge, massive, probably 8 foot, maybe 9 feet tall, Bigfoot, probably 5.5 feet wide at the shoulders. He was bigger than, like, around than the first one I saw, even bigger weight in the waist and legs. And he was just swaying like this. He was probably about 25 feet from me. I peed all over myself trying to get back to the tent. And, you know, so, and nobody else on the trip saw one. My nephew did, but he saw the same one I did. He went out right after I did, about 15 minutes after me. And then he tore up the tent trying to get back in it. And but all the other guys, they didn't see nothing. We've been out for 12 years and they haven't seen anything yet. So I don't know, you know, what warrants that.
Nicola's asking, Alan, do you always have a weapon with you? And if so, what type?
I usually carry a 40 caliber. It's a Smith & Wesson 40. And I know it's not big enough, but my thought is if it grabs me and I have the wherewithal, or I can, you know, it doesn't knock me out or something first, or bang me on the ground or on a tree, I'm just going to lay the gun on its head, you know, and like boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to empty it into its head. And I'm sure they already know that, you know, but they're not afraid of me and they're not afraid of guns.
See, up here, I think they are.
Really?
I really do think they are, because come hunting season around here, nobody sees anything. Very rarely do we get reports during hunting season.
Wow, we get them all the time. In fact, I have a really cool, I have it on my phone. I wonder if I could show it. I have a print. Can I grab my phone really quick? It's just right there.
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead. Don't know what he's going to show us, but this is going to be really cool.
It was good. Okay, this was taken during the deer season. And the Bigfoot was up in a tree. They tracked it to the tree. And if I can remember which one it's in here, I think it's in this one. They tracked it up to a tree. Let's see if it'll focus. And the Bigfoot, they were shooting at it in the tree, and it ran away, jumping tree to tree. It got away.
No way.
And they called us up, and we ran up there, and this is the pictures we get.
It's a large footprint. That's got to be about a 17-inch print.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
That's pretty amazing. Tony in the UK wants to know, do you think that Sasquatch has invisibility capabilities?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. They can disappear. I've taken many stories where the people watch them just disappear. Like they say they can still see him, kind of like the Predator is what they say. I haven't seen it yet though, so.
Is that something that you want to see?
I'm not sure. That might scare me out of the woods forever again, because if I see that, then it could be in the tent with me, you know, and stay all night with me, or you know what I mean. And just the thought of it scares the what out of me. Like that changes the whole game. Like right now, it's just people telling me.
Out of all the encounters that you have had over time, what do you want to accomplish with this creature now? What's the goal?
Just to keep on experiencing life and this enigmatic thing that is there but seems to be so elusive. I can't get really good. I mean, it's almost like a challenge now to me, you know. It's not about really proving it or anything. It's all about cat and mouse kind of thing. And as long as it doesn't hurt me and I don't like when I start getting the feeling that it's going to get me, like impending, you're going to die, I leave. So, or if the trees start being pushed over or branches start being thrown and stuff like that, it's time to go. And I leave. I respect that, but it's not stopping me from coming back, you know, and I'll be back and back and back. And that's my camping and hunting now. Like I used to go hunting all the time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks a year, and camping every weekend. Now this is what I do. It's kind of weird, I guess.
For you though, but do you want that? You've had that close encounter, you've had that ability to interact with this creature. Is it about proving its existence right now, or what you're doing for your own research all about you now, and just to see how far you can take it?
I think it's all about me, pretty much. It's not about. I mean, I like to share things. That's why I have the YouTube channel, and if I get things, like I share my adventures and stuff like that. And a lot of times I don't have anything to share, but only I could just tell you what happened because I don't have any evidence. But it's fun, you know, and I get people that go with me, and then they get to experience it. We brought this guy. He was a cameraman for our TV show, and we had a TV show for 3 seasons, I think, here local. And he was scientifically, they don't exist. And so we took him to our main area. We call it the spot, where we get the DNA and all the stuff and lots of interaction. You're just about guaranteed to have something nearly every time, not all the time, but nearly. And we got there, and he was trying to prove to me why they weren't real, you know, all day. That he just kept at me and kept at me. I'm like, yeah. And then that night, here comes the samurai chatter coming up the road, right? 2 of them. And then they sat down. I showed him where they sat down. They like to hide behind these little small stand of trees, and it's dirt right there. You could see their butt print and everything. But they started throwing little pebbles, and he woke me up, and he's like, they're throwing rocks. And he was black, so all I could see was his eyes. They were like that big, you know. I'm like, what? He goes, they're throwing rocks. You know? And then I heard the samurai chatter over there, and we were laying there, and we were laying there listening to it, and then it stepped on, one of them came closer and stepped on the tarp right next to his head that the tent was on, and he freaked out. Oh my God. Now he believes in Bigfoot, but he won't ever go to the mountains again. That right there, having it walk through camp and step on everybody's tarps on the tent, that was enough. He won't go camping. He won't go to the mountains. He's done camping. You know, and I told him, you got to get over it. You know, don't let it rule you. Go camping again. He's like, no. No
more camping.
Yeah.
No more for this guy. No, I can absolutely see that. You know, I mean, what do you think the torture is? And I use the word torture very lightly because we talked about this a little bit earlier in the show about the idea that, you know, when you're out camping, they're touching your tent or they're touching your chairs. It's almost like they're trying to get a feel or a sense or a smell from you to see what they are all about. And I know I asked you the question about whether they're curious creatures or not, but do you think that a lot of these human characteristics that they show in their curiosity do lead to some of these missing 411 cases?
I believe it, especially like we interviewed David Paulides 3 times, and the first time he sent us his 411 book, and I wanted, like, the other guy won't read the book, you know, and I want to read the book so I could ask the questions, good questions, you know. And I got in there, and then my teacher was in the book, my 7th grade teacher.
Tell us that story.
He was a lieutenant colonel of our local fighter wing. He was a pilot. And when 7th grade, he was a captain. And I used to fly search and rescue with him. Like there would be crashes and stuff like that. And he had a Cessna 310. And I got to know him really well. And I joined the Civil Air Patrol and would march around, and because I was an auxiliary of the Air Force, he could take me in around the airport and stuff. And I didn't know that he had disappeared. And he disappeared 7 miles from where I saw Bigfoot. And in a 12 or 14 mile area of several disappearances, and they're still disappearing from there. Also, where the mean Bigfoot that's just being encountered. So he's in that little area right by Yosemite. It actually encompasses Yosemite, so it's bigger than 13 miles. But all around Yosemite National Park and all around the park, people turn up missing. Like they just had a husband, wife, their baby, and a dog, and they found him dead on the trail. And they're not releasing. They said they don't seem to think there's foul play. They don't know what killed him, but all of a sudden they have fighter jets parked down at this city that's close by that's helping them with the investigation. I'm like, fighter jets? Like what? But that's all they're telling us right now. And you can look that up on Google. That's happening right now. Okay. Just an interesting thing. What do you call a data point or whatever out of all the things?
Right. Yeah. And I've heard about that story, and we're watching that one right now with 2 minutes left before we have to say good night to you tonight. I mean, it's been an incredible show, and I can't wait to bring you back on Spaced Out Radio, man, because I think you're extremely knowledgeable. You're a great storyteller. And in the end, that's what it really counts on for what we do here. And for you, though, could you please tell my audience where they can find your research, your channels, your information?
Well, it's the dirty word. It's Dave's dirty word. That way you guys all remember it. It's Squatch Zone on YouTube. And I share as much as I can. I'm not like Dave, though, like twice a week or something like that. I got burnt out on the Paranormal Central thing that we did. We were doing it, once or twice a week for 10, 11 years. But I started out like that, but I'm disabled, and that's why they let me go out of the Paranormal Central. So I'm hit or miss, but I bring whatever I got, like I go out and I bring everything I got, and usually about once or twice a month. But Squatch Zone on YouTube.
We'll get you to change that. No problem.
Yeah, I thought about it. I probably could.
Yeah.
I never did like the Squatch part. I actually Bobo is the one that had me doing that one. He was like, everybody will remember it, man.
Well, you do us a favor, Alan. You stay in touch with us, and you keep up the good fight for finding that information, my friend. And we will continue to check in with you and keep you up to going, because I know we want to do a panel one night of Sasquatch, and I think you'd be great for that. So thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Alan Thomas, everybody, researcher, podcaster, YouTuber out of California. Coming up next, John Hudson is here with the Unbiased UFO Report. We got Shirky Poo's Newswire and the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned.
Thank you, brother. That was good. I love you.
Great job, Alan. Great job. We'll give you a few claps for that.
Thank you, sir. You're great too, man. You're a good A good host.
Ah, man, you made it easy. You made it easy. I just play the part, man. I just play the part, you know. But thank you for that. I appreciate that, and really appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Yeah, so like what is it goes till 12 or?
Yeah, we do a news section at the back end of the show here.
Oh, okay.
We keep going, man. We keep going.
You're like the what do they call it? The ever ready bunny or something?
Never ends, man. It never ends. But thank you so much, my friend. And stay in touch because we definitely want to get you back on. That's for sure.
I will. And it was fun. Maybe we could talk about aliens next time. I know a lot about that, you know.
Anytime you want to talk some aliens, I'm good for alien talk.
I even have done a lot of ghost stuff. A lot. And you might even enjoy that. Like I have a whole different take on it than everyone else.
Well, why don't we? Well, if you want to talk ghosts and aliens, why don't we bring you back in October? What's your October schedule like?
Yeah, it's open.
You want to do Monday the 4th?
Sure. I'll put
right
it
on.
Calendar.
Put it on your calendar, and I'll put it on mine.
Okay. That's a good idea. I better put it on my phone for it. Everything I got is dying. So October 4th, right?
Yeah.
Columbus Day.
You up for that?
No, Columbus Day is the 11th. It's telling me all these dates in October. What the heck?
There we go. All right, buddy. I will let you go. And I got to run, get my news guy in here. But appreciate you, man.
All right. Well, it was a great time. Great audience. I don't know if they could hear me, but only...
Yeah, they can. Yes, they can.
Well, you guys are great, man. Great questions. Love all of you. I'm praying for everybody. We're in a bad world right now, so I'm praying for all of you, even you, Dave.
Thanks, my friend.
Love all of you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. All right, brother. You take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Alan Thomas, everybody. How cool was that? How cool was that? There he is. The Stetson Wonder. All right. Hello, gorgeous, sweet, morbid bear. How are you? And who else showed up late here? Terrible Times. What's going on? The gorgeous and talented Aussie Ange. There she is. What the hell are you doing? User Space. How you doing? Welcome to our channel. That was a good show. Very good show. You finally got it there, buddy? John, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I don't know if he can hear me. Can you hear me? Did he freeze? Hey, gorgeous Larry Schulte. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. I forgot my earphones were still locked to my phone, and my phone was on a small delay. So I was watching you talk on the screen, and I was hearing something different. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, that kind of freaked me out there for a quick second. That's
Sorry
okay.
about that, buddy.
That's all right. Like, oh my God, we got to fix this. We got to fix this. All right. Whoa, 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 sweet John of mine. Whoa, oh, sweet John of mine. Big thank you to Ozzy, Steve, G West, Swamp Dweller, Patrick, Davey, Hurley, and Smithy for the awesome super chats tonight. Really helps what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Thank you to all the veterans who are tuned on in. We absolutely love you. And you always got a safe home here with us and all our regulars. We appreciate you tuning us in. Here we go, guys. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It is time once again for John Hudson's Unbiased UFO Report. John comes in every couple of nights to bring us the update on what's happening in the UFO world, and we're always glad to have John here with us. And Mr. Stetson John, big news coming out of John Greenwald and the Black Vault. BlackVault.com is where there are literally millions of files regarding FOIA requests from the United States government regarding every topic, including UFOs. And he got one about, I believe, Dr. Stephen Greer.
Well, yeah, this is, well, I mean, first off, even everybody, thank you for coming in and listening. Yeah, this is a cool one. First off, hats off to John Greenwald, doing great work as always. His attention to detail is absolutely fantastic. What this comes down to is that if you talk to a lot of people that support the Wilson documents, and we've talked about the Wilson documents a couple of times, when I submit my notes, I will I'll try to put links into those documents, and basically there's a lot of people that believe that this NRO document that Stephen Greer had is the root of the entire Wilson document empire, sort of a thing. And what John basically did, and I can give you some details depending on how much you want, is to go over the rather serious problems that exist in this document. Things that were really low-hanging fruit. Things like, for example, the fact that it's supposedly an NRO document, but there's an Air Force seal on the top left-hand corner. That's really bizarre. Now, as a counterpoint, it's possible that because the NRO people are usually staffed by senior Air Force people, that an Air Force guy didn't change his letterhead, but it's really challenging.
What is the purpose of this? Why do we keep going back to whether or not we're trying to figure out if the Wilson documents are real or fake?
Well, personally, my personal belief is a lot of this has to do with the psychology of what a lot of people are going through. And that is that, you take something like the Wilson documents, and for those of you who have read them, they're kind of crazy. They're very descriptive. They really go out on a limb in many cases. And when you read them, it defies most people's belief. And so therefore it's become this linchpin where people are like, oh, if these are real, then everything else is real. Or if these are not real, then maybe everything isn't real. And so the problem is it becomes this focal point where people want so badly for this one data point to be true. And we all need to consider the fact that all data points should be relatively equal.
Okay, but, a lot of the UFO talk the last year has been about these ever since Grant Cameron first mentioned the possibility of these documents on this show back in, I believe, 2019. And here we are almost 2.5 years later, and we're still debating whether or not these are real. Eric Davis tends to believe they happened. He is staunchly saying that he was in that vehicle. He's the one who is saying that Admiral Wilson did talk to him about UFOs and what the cover-up was. And yet it just seems like there's a lot of narratives around this entire subject. I just don't get it. Is the government trying to cover up these documents and play them as false?
So that is entirely possible. And this is the challenge, is that what we're all doing is we're all doing either reductive or inductive reasoning, and we're basically taking all these little tiny data points and trying to string together narratives to explain what's going on. And this causes us to focus too much and think that, oh, if this one thing proves wrong, everything else proves wrong. For example, in John Greenwald's talk today, the first, I forget what I wrote down, but the first 32 minutes were fantastic. John tears through this document, points out all sorts of things that are wrong with it, and really, in a lot of people's views, basically points out the fact that this NRO document is very likely to be false. It's very likely to be a fraudulent document. And if this document is what Stephen Greer says that he gave to Wilson, and that Wilson used to then go and do his investigation, which then led to the talk that he had with Dr. Davis, and it turns out that NRO document is false, then that puts the entire narrative beyond that in question, in John Greenwald's opinion. And the challenge to your previous question is that you have Richard Dolan, you have Grant Cameron, you have both stating very point blank that this is an authentic document. And then you have people like, Dr. Eric Davis and others insinuating that it is an authentic document. You also have an astronaut involved. There's a lot of really serious people that are standing up for this document. And so it becomes this huge challenge, because what do you do if all these people are saying it for the document, and then you find all these problems with its authenticity? It's very challenging.
There's a lot of credibility on the line, is what you're saying.
Yes. And I want to point out that in the rest of John Greenwald's presentation, it was like 3 hours. He spends everything after 3238 explaining why he thinks that the fact that the NRO document is false means that everything else is false. And he goes as far as to insinuate that Dr. Eric Davis lied, that all these other people are lying, or they're intentionally deceiving. And my challenge is, I don't think I have a challenge with people going that far. And I think that the NRO document might be fake, but you can't necessarily guarantee that means that the rest of the card house falls.
You know what? Here's the one thing that we do know. If we're going to start, and this isn't a shot at John Greenwald or the Black Vault. He's a good friend of this show. Yeah. He does incredible work. Okay. And we all got to commend him for that. But here's the thing that I don't like. Once again, when it comes to UFOs, we are trying to get the government and these agencies who have for years covered up this subject, trying to tell us, oh, don't believe that document. Don't believe Eric Davis. Don't believe what you've heard. All right. And for me, that just reeks of arrogance and cover up of the entire narrative, because we do know, if we take Luis Elizondo at his word, as well as others, that 50% of the government and their staff want this released, and let's get it out into the open. The other 50% does not. We even see it in the military branch.
Absolutely agreed. And but what you bring up is another challenge, right? Because you have Elizondo, who people have very strong opinions about, saying point blank that the one problem Eric Davis has with his personality structure is that he can't lie. So now you have Elizondo standing up for Eric Davis, and you have John Greenwald saying that Eric Davis might be a misinformation person, and that it's just. The problem is that none of us should be coming to conclusions right now. All we have right now is data points, and we don't have enough data to come to conclusions. And as soon as we start doing that, it pitches people against each other.
All right. Down at the International UFO Congress this past weekend in Arizona, we finally heard from disgraced governor of Arizona, Fife Symington, who literally made fun of the Phoenix Lights back on March 13th, 1997. How did he do that? The next day on March 14th, 1997, where literally every member of the Arizona media as well as national media was in a conference room at a hotel where Symington was making an announcement about the Phoenix Lights, and he literally trotted out a couple of police officers with a person in an alien costume in handcuffs, to make fun of the entire event, that it could have been a major, major boomerang UFO. And it wasn't until a few years ago that Symington, feeling guilty, came out and said, I witnessed it too, and I was scared. And now he's speaking at the International UFO Congress. Look, congratulations to Alejandro Rojas and his team for getting Symington to speak. I don't know if they had to pay him for it or not in order to get there, but, Symington is a thorn in a lot of people's sides regarding the way he treated over 65,000 eyewitnesses to this event.
Yes, and I completely agree with what you said. But here's where this gets interesting, and I believe this gets very helpful. Almost every single person I know who has gone public about UFO research or UFO experience has had at least one member of their family that has tried to turn them into the butt of jokes. And they make fun of them. They make underhanded comments at the dinner table. And if you think back to high school, right? When people got really nervous about something, when they got really uncomfortable about something, they made fun of it. They made fun of what they don't understand. It's a very natural and unfortunate human reaction to things. And so I think that if we can look at someone like him and say, okay, look, this is someone who had that knee-jerk reaction to make fun. He did it in a very public, very unfortunate way. But he did, not now, but only several years later, come out and say, look, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I should not have done that, right? And then come out and say that he believes it was a real phenomenon. And now, 25 years later, he's now coming to a conference and he's a keynote speaker, right? Basically standing on our side of the aisle saying, I believe this is a real phenomenon and I saw it myself. And so in many ways, he embodies what a lot of our own relatives and our own siblings and our own parents and our own uncles and aunts and our own friends are going to be going through over the next 5 years, of having to come to terms with the fact that they shouldn't have been making fun of people, and that we don't know what's going on, but we know something very serious is going on.
Well, the thing that irks me about it, and I would love to get Fife Symington on this show, because I want to ask him point blank, maybe he mentioned this in his conference or not, I'm not sure. But I think, in my opinion, he was called by the military to say, shut up about this. We'll make up a story about what happened. We'll call it flares from an A-10 Thunderbolt or whatever, an F-15 Eagle. We'll make fun of it. Okay, nothing. I think his hands were tied in that. He had no choice. I would love to see him publicly state whether or not the government or some government agency, whether it's the CIA, the NRO, or whomever, or the United States military, asked him to shut up about this. I really would love to see that.
So I would too. But here's the thing. The last time we got real good reports that was going on was Roswell. Okay. We've heard very little of those kind of things since then, but we've heard a lot of it in other countries. And what that says to me is that the people in the United States that get threatened believe the threats and they're scared to talk. And so I think it's something that needs to be exposed, but I got to admit, I understand why they don't speak if they really believe the threat.
One of our stations is just outside of Phoenix, in Apache Junction, Arizona. And I would be very curious to hear what they think about Fife Symington now coming over, because that craft went over Tucson, went over Mesa. There was apparently 2 craft that were seen. Apache Junction is right there. I would love to hear from our audience.
So many people saw it.
Yeah, I would love to hear from our audience on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, or email us. You can get our emails off our website or message us on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, because this man literally turned his back on his citizens. He really did turn his back on his citizens who were scared, who needed a leader, and the leader wasn't there. And to me, that's jarring. Add to the fact that now that his political career is over, has he ever really, I know he did one report, but has he ever really offered and I don't know this, so I'm asking, has he ever offered an official apology to the citizens for this event and making fun of it?
My understanding, what I read today, was that he did, and he did it. Actually, I believe it was 6 or 8 years after the event, so it was a while ago that he did so. But my understanding is that he did. And my understanding is that there was 2 stages. There was a stage where he apologized and admitted that it was a phenomenon, and then there was a later stage where now he's admitting that he saw something.
Well, I mean, hey, kudos for him speaking out.
Yes,
but 20 some years later, it's a little too late, because he could have really, really helped out his citizens and broken this open. The other question I would like to hear, and maybe he spoke about it, maybe he didn't, okay, but he must be, let me rephrase that. I would like to get his opinion on what he thinks of the preliminary DNI report that only goes to 2004 and does not cover events like the Phoenix Lights. I would be very curious about that, because one of our former guests, David, he's a ghost hunter now, David Spinks, he was actually in the U.S. Air Force, stationed at Monahan Davis Air Force Base. And they were actually locked in the mess hall with the window shades down. They were not allowed to look out. They had to sit down. They were not allowed to look outside. And the entire base was locked down while they were scrambling jets to get them in the air during the Phoenix Lights event. And
that is highly questionable.
Or Davis Monhan, I think that's a base. Yeah.
Wow. That is highly questionable.
Yeah. So the question is, what really happened? How many craft were there? We know there were 2 that we know of. The big one where we saw the video of, and there was apparently a smaller craft that was seen earlier in the day. But I would like to know this. Okay?
And there are more witnesses.
Yes, there are way more witnesses in this case. And I would like to see Symington come out. Maybe he did it at the International UFO Congress, maybe not. But it is what it is. Quickly here, before we got to get going here, Tic Tac going into space.
So Tic Tac, I first off, I think you should get them to sponsor your show. I think they're fantastic. I love how they are embracing this, and they did. They took a container, they loaded it with Tic Tacs, they attached it to a balloon, and they sent it into space. And the container was shaped like a Tic Tac. And so they are embracing this report. They're embracing the Navy, and I love the fact that they're rolling with it. I applaud them.
You know what? I want to see more of that. We need to reach out to Tic Tac. John, you're our guy to do that. You're our guy to do that. Let's reach out.
There we go.
See if we could get some on it. John, we'll talk to you in a couple of nights. Thank you so much for the unbiased UFO report. Let's get to Captain Shirk's news right now. Let's get to Captain Shirky Poo's News Wire. Happens every night on this show. Chinese media reported a bizarre case of a woman who claims she hasn't slept in about 4 decades, but has never felt tired or sleepy either. Most people can't go 24 hours without a little shut-eye, but Li Jianying, a woman from Henan, claims to have gone 40 years without sleeping. A feat confirmed by her husband and their neighbors, some of whom have actually put her to the test only to fall asleep themselves. Lee last remembered getting some sleep when she was about 5 or 6 years old. Now in her mid-40s, sleep is nothing but a distant memory. Moving on, apparently there's going to be a new city in the desert. The cleanliness of Tokyo, the diversity of New York, and the social services of Stockholm. Billionaire Mark Lohr has outlined his vision for a 5 million person new city in America, and appointed a world-famous architect to design it. Now they just need about $400 billion in funding. The former Walmart executive last week unveiled plans for Telosa, a sustainable metropolis that he hopes to create from scratch in the American desert. The ambitious 150,000-acre proposal promises eco-friendly architecture, sustainable energy, and a purportedly drought-resistant water system. And finally tonight, when people go fishing, they expect to catch a fish, not tortillas. One Florida angler, however, caught a little bit of both, a fish that looks just like a floured tortilla. What the heck is that? Tom Bosworth said, an angler and retiree who lives near Tampa Bay. There's 200 species of fish out in Tampa Bay, and that was the strangest I've ever caught, he said. Bosworth caught the fish on March 31st while fishing with two friends. However, the fish was identified publicly only recently as an orange filefish. Orange filefish. Well, there we go. Now we know the mystery. Thought of the day goes as follows. Where are all the Sasquatch bodies? That's what we asked to you guys tonight. The big question is, from Eric, either decomposed or buried. Christopher says most animals are scavenged and ripped apart in the wild. Ken, what happens to gorilla bodies in the jungle? Maybe that's where you find the answer. Robin, Sasquatch bury their dead. They have actually a form of funeral. Sonia, where are all the mermaid bodies? Andrew believes they go to Narnia. Thomas, in the caves on Vancouver Island, the old people said entrances were buried. Chris, hidden in the Sasquatch freezer. Gary, the aliens came and got them. Lori, feeding tree plants and critters. Let's not forget bugs and microbes. Danny, they take care of their own. John, they are interdimensional and may be made solid by consciousness. When they die, they cease to exist on this plane. Darren, they don't die. Bob, they leave no one behind. Final word goes to Allie. Having a kokanee up in the mountains. Thank you for everybody participating in the thought of the day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Thank you to Captain Shirk for the SOR Newswire, John Hudson for the UFO Report, and Alan Thomas coming in to talk Sasquatch all night long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our YouTube chat rooms, YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. This show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. That's a good show. Very good show. Oh, my legs are killing me tonight. Let's go there. Let's download this. There we go. Close that out. Open this up. There we go. Woo! That's a good show. That's a good show. Right there, Super Quest. Race fan, how you doing, buddy? Thank you, Joey Hayes. Appreciate that, bud. Good morning to you. River Dogma, how you doing, man? Super Duke, Peppa H. Robert Mobley, there you are, man. How are you? All right, there we go. Put that over there. Go like that. That could go like that. I'll bring that down. That's a little too loud. All right, let's get ready to edit this show, shall we? There's one, there's two. Let's see here. Let's go here. Where are you guys? There you are. How are we doing? Paula I did get your email. Thank you. I did. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure that out. I'll send that off to my guy, Gary, so we can figure on out. I'm not sure if we can do anything with StreamYard because I believe that Twitch mainly people use OBS on there, And that's a little bit of a pain in the ass, and I'm not switching to OBS. Not a fan of that program. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh, we got some ham hocks coming in from Aussie Rob. Very nice, Aussie Rob. Very, very nice. Good job. There's one down. Any questions while we're hanging on out here? Hi, D. Swagger. Any questions for any one of you? Yeah, because we definitely want to improve on our Twitch. I've decided for right now, there has been some questions on whether or not we were going to go on TikTok. Hey, Chris Mo, how you doing, buddy? I think we're going to stay away from TikTok right now. Dinner for breakfast. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, D. Swagger. That's okay. The other one, nope. Not at all. Does anybody... This whole TikTok thing just kind of weirds me out a little bit. I don't know why. I really don't know why, but it does weird me out a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Numero 4. No questions? Yes, D Swagger. I've heard that about TikTok too. Pizza, eggs, bacon, cheese, sausage. No, can't have eggs. That's breakfast food. I think paranormal videos you could do, but for something like us on TikTok, I just don't know how it would work. That's what's confusing me a little bit, is I'm not sure how it would work, or what me or Lynn could do, or our team could do to make it work properly. River Dogma, no, I have not read Walter's latest book. I heard it's phenomenal, though. But yeah, and Excalibur, I thought about that, and we're still bouncing around some ideas, but realistically, they got to be for the show. So it's different for her to do that, like if she wanted to do that on her own channel, comparatively to, what we do on the show on a nightly basis. That's the big pain in the butt right there, trying to figure that out. That part's done. Let's convert them to MP3s now. See, that's a good idea, Paula, about advertising and maybe highlight some experiences of your guests you've had, funny moments. That's actually really a good idea. A really good idea. The problem is, I think with TikTok, you're on a time limit. And sometimes our guests take really long to get to their answers. No, I'm not race fan. Hi, Nikki. Oh, Jenny, that sounds interesting. Hey, Sonny, how you doing? That's actually, you know what, Paula? I'm going to think about that. That's actually a good idea. I'll send that to Gary and Lynn right now. Hey, guys, give me a few minutes here. My son has woken up. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys. A little guy woke up. He's been going through some growing pains lately, and he's been pretty sore. You know, he runs around with his friends all day, and then when his body calms down, his right leg has been bugging him. So, yeah, just need to get him a little bit rubbed down there. All right, let's get these moved over. All right, that one's on its way. That one is on its way. Still all the other ones here. That was a good show tonight. Real happy with that show. I actually rub them down with Vicks Vapor Rub, and that seems to take it away for a while. Vicks Vapor Rub is like the medicine of all medicines, man. Tomorrow night on the show, by the way, Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. That'll be a good one. Hey, Paula, are you on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram? If so, can you add me there, please? Well, that's a new-looking spider. What are you doing here, boss? No, you got to get out. You got to get out, too. You're not allowed here. Come on, where'd you go? Who wants this guy? Can you add me on Facebook, Paula? Because I'd like to chat more with you about this. It was a small little black guy, but I don't think it was a black widow. I didn't touch him. He chased up back out the window. Are you in the SOR group, Paula? I'll go check. Who's joined? No. I want members. There we go. Members, Paula. We've got 3 Paulas. So is this... is that you in a wedding photo? Is that it? You in a wedding photo? Okay, I'm gonna add you, or you gotta add me or whatever. Hi, it's Dave. I'll just send you a message. There we go. Wow, those got done fast. Okay, cool. Paula, I'll chat with you in the next. I'll try and get a hold of you tomorrow. I just have to see what my business day is going to be like at work tomorrow. Yeah, me too, John. He was awesome. He was totally awesome. Oh, Sonny, I'm sure he would totally take you with him. All right, let's open that up like this. Drop those in there. Close that up, close that up. Upload here. Okay, cool. Got it. Thanks, Grandpa Holland. Yeah, Alan was good. I'm excited to get him back on in October to talk about his hauntings and alien stories. That's going to be good. Bigfoot is everywhere. Everywhere. Thank you, Sonny. We appreciate earning your listening ears, man. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. The lovely and talented Krista Boyer right there. In West Virginia. It's one of the only states I've been to. Been to West Virginia. Not for long, but I was there. I thank my team for getting these awesome guests. And Nate Rudd, World Bigfoot Radio Duke, they really helped get us some really stellar Sasquatch guests. Gary helps as well. All right, so those are uploaded. Send that off. All right, everyone, we're going to say goodnight to all of you tonight. Big thank you to Smithy, to Dave Hurley, Noble Patrick, Swamp Dweller, G West, and Aussie Steve for the awesome and incredible super chats tonight. Really do appreciate it. Really appreciate the love and support of each and every one of you tuning us in tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, Geraldine Orozco will be with us for the Spiritual You. It's going to be a great, great time once again. And of course, thank you to all the veterans who are listening to our show. We love you. You always have a safe home with us here at Spaced Out Radio. And of course, to all our regulars in the chat room, you were amazing as well. And thank you for your love. Don't forget to share this show on social media. If you haven't added us on social media yet, please do so. That really helps. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button right here, we'd really appreciate if you did as well. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, everyone.